wall with a fence on it. I would like to see, I guess, some sort of mock-up out there that shows where the wall would go and where the fence would go.
So we're proposing no fence. We're proposing
there's already a fence.
that fence has nothing to do with us, and nor did we install.
That's not your property, the fence?
It is our property, but it's a leased space.
Okay, so, but you still have it as part of the streetscape as you come down the street, which you are creating a new Nancy Ann Gregland intersection.
The wall stops right about where the fence starts.
Yeah,
Right.
I could think of that, but it is a large expanse of which the only other place that has a wall, perhaps, that we see with any amount of time is the one at the hospital. And this is what you said, 156.
187, I believe, is on the drawing.
Feet tall, long. It's just a huge expanse on a property, because you've got Ironwood, which is a residential street, right?
Ironwood is a
Residential street. That's where we've got some.
well, it's actually industrial and residential, because it has commercial on one side of the street and it has residential on the other one.
Right.
So just to make it clear, Ironwood actually is going to go all the way from Old South Road all the way through to Dave Kim. What's currently Nancy Ann Lane is going to be renamed to Ironwood to make it one road, and then now the new road that we just put in is going to be the new Nancy Ann, so that
What name is that going?
the road that you're talking about right there, that's Nancy Ann Lane. The new road that's coming in off of Old South
Ironwood.
is Ironwood from Old South all the way to Dave Kim.
And then this Nancy Ann is going to exist as Nancy Ann.
Just at this location,
And then Gregland is going to come down.
And then Gregland takes a left-hand turn.
What's going to happen to this
The other part of the road gets
property that was there and coming down to that intersection?
Once Ironwood is open, then the remaining part of Gregland from Old South Road up to that intersection, and then go up the road, going left up your finger, going left the other way. You go up that road, all that gets removed.
Okay, and what, do you know at this time what's in Lot 9?
Right now, Lot 9 is Parcel Plus. It's the old Parcel Plus building.
Oh, yeah.
And Lot, that's
The other
10,
two lots
11,
the other 3 lots are vacant lots.
12 would be Lot 12, which is where you want to put the fence. This one.
Yeah, no, there's no fence on that. We're looking to put a curb
I
there.
don't mean the fence, the wall, whatever the hell.
So this all goes away. From
Right.
here all the way down, all the way out to Old South goes away once this is open, accepted. And then this is the new wall with the granite curbing on top of it.
And this is the one with the fence. This is the guy who won't.
Yeah, that's a lease to.
So, and this is
That's
would
owned
be a
by.
Lot 12 perhaps.
I'm not sure what the lot number is at, but that's actually owned by the boat company.
Where you want
Richmond
to
still
put
we
this
still
wall.
own this and this.
Yeah.
Parcel Plus is here.
Mm-hmm.
And then these two are vacant lots. This actually has a landscaper on it right now. This is vacant.
But you still own this lot,
No,
right?
that's actually owned by a boat company.
But they're the ones that are proposing the wall, or you're?
No, we are. We have to put the wall up as part of our planning board approval. The planning board approved that wall.
Of course they did.
Yeah. Too bad you didn't come to us first.
We always think that ourselves too sometimes.
Well, I don't have an answer. I am appalled by the size and the scope of it, and I don't know what the answer is to reduce it. I think it's horrendous sort of.
Public comment? Is there any room for terracing?
No.
There's some small room for terracing, and that's what we talked about, where we're pulling the wall forward as much as we can to stay outside of the right of way on the road. So that's where you're only going to get a foot in front of the wall. so that by pulling that forward, we can lower the wall down to get a 1 foot grading down there to try to minimize the wall from being as high as it is. I mean, I don't know if 12 inches gains that much, but it will still minimize it. And that was one of the reasons why we didn't put a fence on top of it and chose for the curbing. I think with a wall and a fence, I mean, now you're looking at a 13-foot billboard.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see some drawings, because we're talking about this, we
It's
don't
only
really,
abstract.
Well,
and I would like to, if we're gonna see, I'd just like to see some drawings that show what specifically is proposed, elevation from the streetscape, left, right, and then we're not talking about whether there's a fence here or there, or what, it's very simple. This is a retaining wall from left to right, it looks like this, and we can either go with it or not, or make suggestions based upon what's appropriate.
well, I have a suggestion.
Well,
Yeah,
So, okay.
Just to sort of keep order here. Jesse, you asked a question. I'm not sure that it was addressed necessarily, but I'm going to return to it with my comments, so it won't get lost in the shuffle. So Val, it's your turn.
So I like the idea of the 1 foot,
Berm.
you know, up
Or slope.
and then start the wall. Would it be possible, just a thought, to mitigate that wall instead of doing this material that, yes, it was at the hospital, but the difference with at the hospital is it was an internal wall
Right.
holding the grade from the street back, where this is, you know, outward. Maybe put a fence in front of it. Make it concrete or something and put a fence in front of it.
Can't do a concrete wall.
Okay, because.
Ironically enough, because if we did a poured in place concrete wall, and we did do that too, just so you
Yeah.
know, and just so the board understands that a lot of care was done prior to us doing the submission here, is that for a structural concrete wall to be done, the footing, the extension on the footing would have to be such that it would actually go into the abutter's property in order to hold up the wall. The other thing we looked at doing is a smaller segmented wall, so the pieces were smaller, but then the geofabric would have to be in there as well. So we've actually, like, if the old saying takes true that the horse is dead, like, we've literally beat this to make it so that this is an acceptable product for long range, but also something that, you know.
All right.
Well, so we can
let's-
appreciate your conundrum, but this is a whole new,
But Val, whether the wall is, if I understood you correctly, whether the wall is concrete or this stuff or whatever, your point is to conceal
right,
that with a fence.
right,
Am I right?
correct. Well,
Okay,
a
so I
fence
think
or
that's-
some better would be planting,
Or both.
right,
So I think that the whole fence concept is a good one, and it
Yeah.
doesn't require it to have a concrete wall behind it
No.
necessarily.
no,
Because the idea is to mask whatever's behind there.
right.
Good idea. Abby?
Yeah, so I'd like, I'm in the berm group. I'd like, in fact, I think the whole block 11 and the neighbor should be treated as one. I mean, I can't see doing all of this to just this corner when the whole scope of the project, I think, should actually make that whole, I know that's not your responsibility, but if you look at it in its entirety, I would like to see that whole hill come burned down.
So
and-
that property there that we do own, that does get burned down.
Okay, so I would like to see this treated as one whole.
It can't.
Which is
We
great
don't
if
own
it's
it.
all a berm, but
It
it
doesn't-
wouldn't be great if it was all a wall.
he doesn't own
And
it.
this guy right here is
Well,
not allowing them to burn back onto his property. That's the
Well,
crux of the issue.
I think there's got to be some neighborly talk. I mean,
We tried to write a check.
that didn't work.
Yeah.
No, because 3 feet of space or 5 feet of space was more valuable than any amount of money we could give
But
him.
the-
Matter of fact, he was looking for us to sell him another lot.
Right, well, this is for everybody though, so everybody's going to be, it's a neighborly fence.
One of the things is you're never gonna, the only view from this wall is gonna be driving down Gregland.
The other point I wanted to make was, when it goes from 6 down to 1 foot, I think it would be, I would like to see a more whatever the material is we choose, I'd like to see it more uniform to like a 3 or 4 foot wall uniformly, sort of, I don't know, I know.
Yeah, we can't get to the 3 or 4 feet high for the entire length, that it's just not possible.
Because I think it's going to look very strange to have something go from 6 feet to 2 feet for that amount of length.
So if you do the math, the 12, 12, so you're gonna have 150 feet of consistent height wall, and then there'll be a step and another step.
As it goes around the corner too?
No, well, it's not, it literally goes straight, the entire wall is straight, other than the little kicker on the end, halfway down the middle of the street.
Those are my thoughts. Right?
Thank you, and that's sort of to Stephen's point, because right now we're looking at a site plan, we're looking at some photographs, and we're looking at a detail. So we're really not getting the full picture. So, thank you, Abby. So I have a couple questions. The one I think is I just want to get clarification on. I'm pretty sure I know what your answer is going to be. So the guy who refuses to allow you to terrace and all that, his grade is the existing grade
Correct.
on the site before anything happened.
Correct.
So when the road went in, you cut, and that was where the requirement for, like, in other words, he didn't go in and fill his site, correct?
Right.
Correct. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that, we weren't dealing with a situation where he filled it and now he's not allowing it.
And design criteria, when we were constructing the road designs, that we were tying into the new ironwood and the existing Gregland.
So, why it had to slope, I'm not gonna question, but I just wanna make sure that, it wasn't like he filled his site and now left you with this condition that you're trying to rectify. Okay.
Right, and the condition was rectified in the plans with the wall that was approved in the 12th and 14th of
Right.
August by the planning board.
Okay. So, now, I'm gonna touch on Jesse's comment for a second, because he said terracing. Now, what he meant by terracing is if you have the level of the road, I'm gonna draw this picture towards you. You have the road, and then you have the grade up here, and then you have this difference. Jesse's suggesting that you go down halfway or so, and then you step like that, and then you step again. If I understand you correctly, that's not an option that you have.
Yeah, there's not enough.
Room.
We literally only have 4 to 5 feet of
You have 4 to 5.
and our wall basically takes up 3 of that. With its cantilever, if you look at the breakdown of the wall has a face, and then there's an opening, and then there's a backside, which the earth actually holds the wall in place.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, so the other thing that you've mentioned a few times, and I'm not sure I understand, you've said a few times, like, well, so we have a wall that's X number of feet high, but part of the reason it's that high,
Yeah.
part of the reason it's that high is because we know you folks don't like fences. Now, so let's pretend just for a minute that we did like fences, okay? You're saying we figured you guys wouldn't want to have a wall with a fence on top of it. Now the fence, or the extension of the wall, what we call a parapet, which is the wall that goes above grade, that's to keep anybody who's at the higher level on that guy's property from going over the wall, correct?
Correct.
And if I remember from last week, that number was 2 feet.
3.
3.
3 feet from the front face of the wall.
It's 3 feet.
So the curbing is, if you look at the detail on the curbing that's in your packet, the curbing is actually 3 feet from the front face of the wall, which allows enough of a transition that by code allows us to do a curb versus, so this is the wall here. So our
none of
wall
it
is actually
shows
this
that.
big.
Here, I just want to make sure,
We can get
because
some drawings.
I think that we have an opening.
Yeah.
that-
Promotion.
All right. So the wall on the high side, on the, you know, this guy's side who refuses to buy land or anything like that, or refuses to, you know,
Work with us.
work with us.
Well, it's not us.
He, in order to make this safe, you're making the wall 3 feet taller above his grade. Am I correct in saying that?
No. The wall is actually only going to the height of, it's actually going a little bit below his, as we talked about, there's gonna be a little bit of grading at the top of the wall, and then the curbing is gonna be here. So if you're going back to that, there's your wall, here's your earth, and then this is your granite. And then this face here is 3 feet.
The wall is 3 feet thick. That's where the 3 feet.
Well, the wall itself
Yeah.
couldn't possibly.
It's
Is
3
3
feet, right.
feet thick.
It's 3 feet
Literally
thick,
is
yeah.
3 feet
Yeah.
thick.
Well, there's a hollow point in the middle of it that allows for drainage and all that stuff, but the structure of the wall is 3 feet thick. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so I want to summarize.
And that allows us to be able to allow for the 75 to 100 years that the Mass
Got it.
DOT allows for and all that.
Okay, so I heard a few things at the table that I
I
think.
need something to show me what
Right.
exactly is happening.
Okay, so that's kind of, I was gonna roll that into Stephen's idea that we need to see this in like an actual elevation of this. Okay?
Section, elevation.
I would like to see an elevation with the drawing of the fence
Yeah.
and how it, and the wall, and as it hits that corner, to see it. The
Would be helpful.
Dinah is good at doing it, so we have some idea of what it's going to physically look like.
Right.
Because I think that's one of the hard points, is where it does all this. And if it's 3 feet thick, that's a hell of a lot thicker than any wall I know of, even the one at the hospital. And if it has a drain hole in the middle and it's not capped, perhaps we can use the drain holes as a thing to grow something, but it's,
Well, yeah.
You could definitely grow something in the top of the wall and in the front of the wall. So
Okay, and then, so Val's point, you're holding up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, a grading plan,
Yeah,
an elevation, and 3
Right.
sections, one at 6 foot, one at 4 foot, one at 2 foot, and then
Perfect.
show us where those section lines are in the plan, in the grading plan. So then you can come in, Brian, and you can just look, we can look at it, we can say, oh, we don't think this is appropriate, we think that's appropriate, we can fix this, and we can get some productive, you know what I mean, like, because right now we're just,
no, I
we don't have
understand.
enough information.
So
And-
would it be with the chairman's permission? Would it be acceptable to the members that did you like the idea of shrinking the wall down a little bit and giving that little 8 to 12 inches
hell yeah.
of grading at the top of the wall?
The less wall we can
yeah,
look
the
at, the
less
better.
wall is the better
Okay,
it
all
is.
right.
Absolutely, positively.
I'd actually, I don't know if this manufacturer does it, but if you have some type of retainage, you can put at the top so that you can extend out that.
Yeah, no.
I looked at this and I
Yeah.
mean, it's 6 feet right up to the property line and it's just a cut. So rolling that down, I think you're gonna run into problems that's gonna be coming over the wall.
Oh, you mean anything that,
With what?
If you roll the grade down from 6 foot.
Yeah,
down
but I'm
18
rolling that over 3 feet.
on the top of the wall?
Yeah, the 8 to 12 inches of.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
roll,
is
yeah.
it to make sure, is there some type of a lip or something on the face of the wall?
Yeah, if you look at on the details, if you
That
flip it
doesn't-
open, the back of the wall is actually
You
a.
didn't have it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
didn't have it.
Which is the
That's why I'm
back of
asking.
So on the back of the wall, it actually.
Which is the back of the wall, which drawing?
All we have is this thing.
So when you show us a section, Brian, that's gonna
understand
address
that.
that whole question.
So there's actually a 6-inch lip on the back of the
Perfect.
wall,
So-
which retains soil, so nothing will come over the top of the wall.
that's just.
So that,
Yeah.
that drawing will address my concern.
And this would, so
which
the,
is-
the wall actually does this. So there's holes in the wall.
Mhm.
So you could put some grass or plantings up
Right.
there.
I think if you
that
bring
would
those
allow
drawings,
for-
we're gonna be able to go a lot further.
Okay.
It
And give us
answers
as
questions.
many drawings, but there are
So-
no photographs of it as it's gonna look,
I
so
mean,
we have
this is
some
just a
idea.
Are
curve.
you looking at plantings? Is that, you wanna add some plantings to the
Let's see
drawing?
the drawings first.
Let's see,
and then we
yeah.
can do
Yeah,
it.
and then the only thing I'm
So
gonna,
don't add any planting.
Not yet.
the other thing I'm gonna request is the other sheets that go with this, so we can actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure
look at-
why you don't have them, but I'll do another submission that,
The more
Supplement.
visual,
Everything, yeah.
the more
We have all
visual
that, yeah.
we have.
It's gonna help you, help us.
We actually have, you can see what the block is. There's a 3D rendering of the block.
Yeah, that's, what you just outlined there is a big help, because I'm sitting here thinking there's no way we're gonna be
This
able
is
to do
actually
the grade
like
you're
this.
talking about, but now you define the stone to
Yeah.
me, so I see how it can be done.
And this is the,
Oh, he took your pen.
Oh, okay.
I'll give it back if I get it to sign off.
Okay,
Brian,
deal.
on one of the renderings, throw in one of the storage units that are.
So
going to
we
be
can
there.
actually
And his
we can
ramp.
take a picture and actually Photoshop in the wall
Right.
into the existing condition if that
Because
helps a little bit
When you
better.
have a 6
I
foot
mean,
wall
technically, I don't
and
wanna see the stuff that's there.
it goes up 6 feet, and then you've got a trailer that's 20 feet tall, or however tall they are,
It's actually 8'9".
8'9".
And could you put
There's
the
a-
ramp,
there's a
his
bar.
ramp on it, so we see?
Yeah, yeah.
As much as you can show us, we would appreciate it.
Sounds
Okay.
great. Okay.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion?
Motion to hold for revisions
And
Noting that this
information.
isn't
More
an asset
information.
approval yet.
and pictures.
What's that?
Noting this isn't an, you know what I mean, like, we're still looking for info. You know that.
Oh, I know I'm not
You know-
approved, I can guarantee you that.
No, you're fine.
I just
Okay.
wanna be,
All those in
Only have 2
favor?
of these.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks.
good sport, Brian, you're a good sport.
Oh, yeah. Where'd that come from?
I think,
What's that? That's mine.
Yum,
That's
yum.
for you. I bought all this stuff for you, guys.
it's going
Love
fast.
that. Okay, so are we gonna do 25B, Clifton? Yeah, we are.
James is here.
Mm-hmm. He's right here. Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
Hey,
Thank
welcome,
you.
James.
This is Coombs Camp Oliver Dutra.
Oh, there it is again.
I know, third time's a charm, right?
Let's hope so.
Okay, well, tell us what you've done.
Sure. So previously, we had made a suggestion to move the garage in front of the bulk of the pool in the rear yard. And with that, we made planting and fencing changes, but we still had a fence opening that was showing, it could show the pool if the fence was open, and the board thought the plantings themselves were a little lacking. They weren't dense enough. So what we did was we came back in and we removed the gate access. So the entirety of the driveway is covered by Leland cypress and miscanthus or fountain grass as a lower planting. We moved the fence back 2 more feet so we could have 2 more feet of denser planting. So basically from the garage to the north, which is the left side of the drawing, should be green and solid year-round. In addition, we also added back board fence between the main house and the garage to cover the existing trees and plantings that are already on Burnell Street from the garage going towards the south, which is the right-hand side of the drawing. So those were the major additions. We made some other minor plant changes on the inside of the planting plan, which mostly won't be seen because everything is now covered. And that was the bulk of the changes. We hope that
This is the present.
what's happening on the
No, this garage isn't here,
that's newly proposed
and it was here.
and approved.
Right,
And the driveway cut was here, so we thought we'd see the pool, so
Right.
it's shifting that.
and you're gonna come in
This is,
now the driveway.
well, there's 2 driveways right there.
There's 2 curb cuts. There's a small 2-car parking on the
Right
south
here.
Right,
that's almost in the existing location. And then the one on the north is going to be basically to pull the car in late at the end of season, more than anything. So, but it's very densely planted. We don't think things will be seen
okay,
in.
let me just get one location. On the proposed pool,
Mhm.
what is the building that is now labeled garage? Is that where the garage is, or has the garage moved?
Oh, the garage used to be further to the right.
I see
like
that.
3
I'm
revisions
talking
ago.
about now,
That's what he's
It doesn't-
proposing.
right there.
Correct.
Okay,
That's
I
that's-
wanted to make sure that we were looking at the right
Yeah, that's the right one.
building. Okay, so can we start?
Is-
Abby, would you wanna begin?
Sure. So you've got the Leyland cypress on the corner going all the way down Burnell Street.
No. Those big guys there, those are existing.
They're not that
I didn't
What are they?
see any.
They're a mixed bag of some of it's scrub oak, some of it is evergreen, some of it is
Oh, the way it's rendered here, it looks like they're very large Leyland cypress. Because
I color coded what's going to be new Leland cypress down at the end where we're focusing.
so this is just scrub oak around the corner?
No, it's a mixed bag of existing. If you look on the front cover, I have existing photos of the street corner.
How tall is the?
Where the outdoor
veg-
bathroom is there? That's the-
Yeah, down that way. That's the existing.
How tall is the existing vegetation?
It varies, but it's up to probably 15,
height.
16,
Look,
16
it's
feet.
here, but
Yeah.
it's not as dense as
That's-
that.
yeah.
Okay,
There's
so those
peaks
big,
and valleys.
these things that are rendered here
This
are
is
the
where the
the
house is.
existing vegetation.
That's existing, is
See?
noted, yes.
There's
And
the
then
corner.
one step,
So
now
it's
what's,
not-
That's the setback.
that's the setback.
Yeah.
And then
So inside of that, we've proposed the same board
Yeah.
the
fence
board fence.
yes, as a second layer of cover from the existing.
And what hides that board fence? This
The
existing,
existing, and once, I mean, we need to eventually clear out some of the scrub underneath it and add to it, but we haven't determined what we're gonna cover in front of it. It's also 20 feet back from the property line, so we haven't cleared everything yet, just to keep everything clean and covered for the time being. We wanna keep as many of the existing trees that are valuable, just because the cover is nice and it's not, it's not that often that we get to take advantage of existing
is
trees.
Clifton tarred at that point on the?
It stops right here, so
Here's my
that's
pictures
asphalt.
of it.
Mhm.
This is
asphalt
where,
till
This
here,
is.
line.
Right.
And so when we look right here,
So that's why there's no apron on your.
you
big
got it.
as-
So when I look down, that's where it or I'm sorry, when I look down here, that's where it transitions. So this is, see this peak? This was like 2 weeks ago. So that peak is essentially right here. So the cover that you see in that image
Okay.
goes from that peak.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what worries me about this is I don't wanna see a swimming pool going down Burnell Street. And I think screening it with a wooden fence is hard, is not, it's not hardscaping, but it's not something I imagine in that neighborhood. So I
So there is
don't have any problem with Clifton. And I think you sort of screen that off from there. I'm just worried about seeing the pool from further down the street.
That's it,
Yeah,
right there.
right there.
Those are my comments,
All right,
Madam Chair.
Jess.
Abby, if you weren't able to see it based on the current vegetation and they'll supplement into that current vegetation, would you prefer a vegetation fence?
Yeah, yeah, it's the board, I'm objecting to the board fence because I don't see a precedence in that neighborhood. And I don't wanna see
I
a
don't
board
want to
fence.
create a precedent
Yeah.
in that neighborhood.
So I,
Would you
yeah,
prefer a privet fence in that location behind the existing,
Um,
beside the existing trees?
A vegetation fence, and then what you plant with it, you could do privet.
I guess from our perspective is, we agree, like, we wanna have a green screen from both directions. And honestly, right now, if we put up a board fence, you'd probably see a smattering of board fence through what's there. And we'd prefer to see it green from both sides. Like, that's one reason why we were hoping we'd get enough cover from the existing, like, free fence, basically. So if we wanted to put a layer of privet with wire, or basically, we would do whatever satisfies the board from the garage to the main house. Now, when it comes to from the garage back, we thought it was best to do, 3 layers of protection, because we're not gonna get the same greenery that we got from the existing vegetation, which is why we went Leland cypress, 3.5 foot on center, 7 foot tall. That's gonna be basically solid. Fountain grass below it, that'll be solid for seasonal months, and then the board behind it, which is minimal, it's only about 50 feet.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. I think that'll be sufficient to screen out that area.
And then we could
That's
trade the
right,
fence. Sorry.
let's get around to all the commissioners. Val,
I agree with Abby, if we can eliminate the fence, which is the bulk of this yard,
Mhm.
and we can just put that into our, motion, that
Can't be,
it can't be seen at the
Can't be
time of
seen.
inspection or thereafter, then.
Okay.
and so basically,
We're
you're just
covered.
gonna really beef up that area with some plants, could be privet, could be whatever, but we don't wanna see the fence or the pool at time
I
of
don't,
inspection.
I'm
or
fine
the-
with that.
or the-
I'd love for it to just be green, honestly.
well, that, you can do whatever, but our new rules are that it will pass inspection when everything is in place at its, the height that you're proposing.
In perpetuity.
Mm,
Right.
okay,
Okay.
all right, so may I have a motion? Do you want to see another drawing set, or
No.
you want to
I would
approve it
say,
tonight?
motion to approve through staff with the picket, board fence going away between the garage and the house. The vegetation choice is up to James, and with the stipulation that we will not see the pool for now and forever.
So
That's
be
my
it.
motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm gonna accuse.
We have
Do you
three
like
ayes and
that
a
motion?
I like that motion very much, very much, but I just, you know, we're starting to change neighborhoods and stuff for swimming pools, and it's kind of,
We're gonna,
Do you have that?
No.
Okay.
You have it right there?
Thank you, guys.
31, thanks.
Thanks, James.
31 North
Appreciate it.
Pasture.
Have a good one.
Did I say through staff? Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Oh,
what?
this is this.
What's
The
he
pool
doing
house.
now?
It's the same.
I think I emailed these to everyone. This is Paul, Camp, Oliver, Welch, and Dutra.
Good evening, Chuck Webster on behalf of the applicant. I think that there's some confusion as to whether this is visible or not. So we provided some more materials. I understand from previous meetings, there was a thought that there was land bank property that was adjacent to this, but there isn't.
No, not land bank.
Well, it's
Nantucket
Conservation Foundation, it's not public access. In fact, we actually contacted them
I
to
access
ask.
it all the time.
What's that?
I access it all the time. I walk around this house once a week.
Right, I know, but I'm saying that Nantucket Conservation
Hunters
Foundation
go
is,
out there all the time. You're telling me it's not a publicly traveled way?
that's what,
There's roads and trails all over the place there.
okay, I'm just, we contacted the Conservation Foundation and they said specifically this property was not, open to the public, so I'm just passing that information on.
That's what this document says. But it's from the
And
owner, not
might I
from the-
also add?
Is it from the Conservation Foundation?
Well, I guess, okay, I'd also like to add that there are a number of applications all the way across here that are other properties, all of which were approved due to no visibility. 27 North Pasture Lane had a pool approved as not visible, which is.
Not the pool, Chip.
I'm
The fact that it's a 3-story building.
okay, just saying.
It's the monster size. All glass.
Okay, who wants to go first?
I will.
Thanks.
So, Chip, I just question whether this is not visible from any location being a 3-story structure, and I know it's in the distance in some regards, but that's my concern. And it's not so much that it's a 3-story structure, it's that even for the area, I think contextually, the architecture is definitely not typical. And I'm not making a value judgment on the architecture because it's not my role. I'm just saying in terms of what's in context appropriate, and I'm not seeing context for this. So, and the only reason I'm concerned is that some of it may be visible. So those are my concerns.
Thank you. Abby?
Yeah, I think the fenestration has me flummoxed. And I just, I can't see doing this one chip. I can't get my head around it.
That's it? Okay, Val?
I agree. I think it's so large, and especially the south is so, I don't know, just over fenestrated, tall, no additive massing. And whether or not the public is allowed there, I'm still
looking for that language in here.
well, it says, I don't know who wrote the letter. That's what I can't figure out. It's signed by the owner, so I'd like the Conservation Foundation to weigh in on it
It
officially.
says, the general public does not have the right to access NCF land unless NCF permits such public access. So, does that mean that if I go to the Nantucket Conservation Foundation and say, can I walk my dog in the land, they're gonna tell me no?
And there's a trail there.
There's hundreds and hundreds of trails there.
I, as a contributing person, just tell you what we did with the land around Fulling Mill when it was thought that the University of Mass land was not open to the public, and the Conservation Commission said, or not Conservation Commission, but the Conservation Board said that all their land was open to public use.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. So, this came out in that hearing. So there's the UMass Field Station, which sits up on high ground. And then there is the marsh between Fulling Mill Road and UMass Field Station. That marsh is owned by the Nantucket Conservation Foundation. And if you want to take a kayak in there, walk in there, do whatever, you are allowed to do it.
Yes,
Okay.
they
thank
made
you.
that a public or recorded or whatever they need for absolute proof that this is what they want.
Okay, thank you, Diane. So let's see.
Who wrote the letter though,
Jesse.
Chip?
So
The
the,
owner.
well, no.
The homeowner.
That's not entirely correct. The, Kevin Dell, on behalf of the homeowner, researched the properties around there and also contacted and I thought he signed it. Yeah, look at the
It
letterhead.
does,
Follow
yeah,
down.
but there's nothing on here that says Kevin Dale. There's somewhat of a signature and then.
That is his signature, actually. K
So-
something Dell. And this is their letterhead at the top.
Okay.
So anyhow, so he did the property research, contacted the Conservation Foundation, and put this letter together. So that was letters from Kevin Dale on behalf of the owner, based on the research that he did. So that's what
Thank
that
you.
is. Yeah.
Can I make one other comment?
Sure.
I would like to have something officially from the Conservation Foundation. That's not to say I don't trust Kevin Dale, but I'd like to understand a little bit more about why it wouldn't be public, and if in fact it is public, at the very least, I would say, push this structure deeper into the lot, closer to the house, if you wanna have it, instead of right on the edge with a big excavated back part that makes it the 3 levels, and screen it.
Thank you. Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with the board on this and think that, you know, possibly some revisions would be helpful, what Val mentioned, and the only thing that kind of jumps out at me a little bit is why the doors are on the south side and not the north side, other than from a design standpoint. To me, it makes more sense to be on the
North.
north.
Well, and it would make the view a little more palatable.
Do you want me to respond to that question? Or just so the reason for that is, and I think you did the pool 27. You know, all those lots drop on the rear. So in order to get the garage underneath, it's just following the natural grade that comes down and then goes underneath. So the grade at the front of this on the north elevation is at the existing grade. And the grade, and I'm thinking, based on some of his comments, maybe a section, a topo through the building and the starting topo, because on the south side, those doors are actually below grade. So even if it were visible, there's other stuff blocking it. So
Okay, so Chip, you do have the lines, but we have no numbers associated.
I'll create some sections through
And
the property.
this is 52 feet from the southern property line. I'd like to see where it's gonna exactly be excavated, set to a minimum,
Yep.
and some sort of screening proposed at the very least. And I guess maybe we'll have John get us the information from the Conservation Foundation directly.
What specifically are we gonna ask them, just to be clear for John?
If everybody, if no one's allowed on any conservation land without prior permission, and even if they're allowed, if that's really the stipulation, then it's still a publicly traveled way, unless they're gonna deny everybody permission to go to Alter Rock. Or go anywhere on any Conservation Foundation land. Okay, can I have a motion?
Motion to hold for more information on our part, the part of the applicant, some elevation numbers. So I'd like to see the southern side mitigated to as little as possible in terms of the 3-story level, some screening proposed, and that's it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very kindly.
Okay, 32 Evergreen Way. Anybody? No?
Sorry for representation.
Okay, all those in favor of Stephen's motion?
Aye.
Okay, Joe, you're up.
Okay. Flyer.
Didn't know both your dogs were joggers.
What?
Didn't know both of your dogs were
Oh,
joggers.
they are.
They were kind of sneaking into the crowd. That was helpful.
You are?
Yeah, so it was really.
Yeah, well.
I didn't heckle Camille, but I
Neil's doing a marathon in a couple of weeks.
I heckled Camille, but I didn't know. But Phoebe saw me, she left.
Oh, I know, she's very self-conscious.
Well, that's why I did it. No,
Okay, can I have my board on this one?
Paul Coombs, Camp, Dutra, and Welch.
Oh, she's on.
So, Oliver,
Okay.
We looked at the new structure, but what didn't happen is this didn't track with it. So, this is for the demolition of the garage, which you all said at the meeting, it was fine. We just didn't have the paperwork here for you to sign.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the new one's approved already.
That's all, yeah.
Right.
No, it's just a paperwork.
Any pictures, Joe?
That was with the other,
Oh, the other.
yeah.
A Renault Alliance.
No problem.
Remember those?
Step up and look at the.
Joe, what was the age of it?
1961, but it was approved to be demolished in 2013.
Have pictures of
Okay.
this?
Oh, there's a black and white in there.
Here, do you want this?
Here you go.
Yeah, okay, now I remember it. Yep.
Is it,
Let's see.
it is
Yep.
demolished in,
Yeah, at the meeting you said it was fine to demolish it, we just didn't have the paperwork
right,
to
but,
shred it.
is it gonna be demolished, or did you offer to
We
people?
offered it and no one wanted it.
Nantucket Housing from Nantucket Housing didn't
For a
want it?
garage?
No, it's a garage that's rotting.
Yeah.
It would be, yeah.
Was that it, Diane?
Yeah, we're looking for buildings.
Stephen?
No, I recall the application, I have no concern.
Okay. Oh, how about you, Abby? Or are you still looking?
Still looking, Mr. Somebody.
Wait, I'm learning.
Jesse?
Based upon the applicant's
concerns.
submissions, I have no concern. Like I said, I'm learning. Based upon the applicant's submissions, I have no concern. You never know what's gonna come back.
This is New Mill up the hill.
Yeah.
I don't have any concerns.
It's like you're going straight up the hill, going to Mill Hill.
That woman. What was the woman's name you wanted?
There was,
No, maybe I'm mixing it up.
there wasn't dad's house is on top, got the whole shoot. Chimney stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Right there. Security
Okay,
Street.
sounds like we can have a motion on this one.
You good?
You ready for a motion?
Motion to approve as submitted?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Jeff. Bye. 106 Orange, Solar, Axmark. Axmark.
Hello.
Hi there. Oh, I'm not on this.
I'm not
I
even.
don't think I am either.
It's a small board, as I recall.
Good.
We have
I think it's
I don't know if we have
definitely
a quorum,
Abby and me.
I don't think I'm on
and
this.
me,
Well, John will tell us.
and John, I think.
I have no idea.
Were you on that?
Oh,
John will know.
if John McLaughlin's on it, then we might.
Pohl, Coombs, Welch, Dutra.
No, that's not true.
Oh.
This is the solar array on Orange Street, I'm positive. I haven't been on this for,
No, I think you were on it. It was held for representation a few times, but it was
okay, read it out again then.
originally discussed on August 30th. Pohl, Coombs, Welch, and Dutra.
Unusual board.
Most.
That's the night I left.
I mean, I
early.
honestly don't
accept that
remember anything
compliment.
about it.
So I can give a brief update,
Definitely see it.
or just kind of remind Zach, clue me in kind of what happened last time. We proposed the typical black solar panels. The board didn't like that because it's a gray roof, and we asked that you please work with us on this.
Why? Why?
The homeowner would like to put solar on their roof. They're in a floodplain, so they are concerned about sea level rise and wanting to try to make an impact in any way they can. It's for Mark Donato's home. We went and we made a mock-up. We put it up on the roof. Did anybody have a chance to go see it?
I even took a picture of it, I think.
But this shows one panel, right?
Yes, just one panel.
But it's gonna be a roof full of them.
Yes, that's the most visible panel.
An uneven roof.
Is that what that is?
You're driving along and here it is, right?
Thank you, Abby.
So we went out and we put a different type of panel than we normally use. It's called a frameless panel, so there's no frame on it. And I don't know, we just wanted to get your feedback and thoughts from the board. This is a utility. You can see there's lots of utility poles in front of it. We'd like your thoughts and feedback on it.
Okay.
We tried to demonstrate that it is fairly hidden. Yeah, just wanted your thoughts and feedback, and to continue to work with us to see if we can get this approved.
Okay. Diane?
Yeah. I'm not sure that I'm the person you want to work with to begin with.
Why?
Because
I can come back to you.
I can, well, no, I'm not a friendly thing. I think you can see the roof from what I can see turning around in the car. You can see that roof from Union Street when it breaks to the right of Orange. There's a direct view from it. You can see it sort of a long distance down Union Street because the little barn is set back. Unfortunately, I think sometimes you just can't do. I would like to have solar at my house, and I'm on Union Street, but you are on the wetlands. You're a very short distance from the harbor, and you're in the middle of the old historic district. And what floodplain are you in?
Well, I guess my point there was that, we're gonna see 3 feet of sea level rise by 2050 if we don't do anything about climate change. So that was my only point. It doesn't pertain to this board.
Yeah, but then you won't have to argue with me.
But it is in an effort to try to preserve these buildings in the historic area. I think we should
I
try to.
understand, but I just have a real problem on going into the old historic district, not just the plain historic. We have such inroads all the time going after our old historic district that to put solar panels on 2 sides, not even filling the space up which we have approved before where it is evenly put along. You've got a roof walk, you've got all this stuff which is not conducive to solar panels, and I know it's free from the state and all that stuff, but I think it is, in this case, inappropriate at Orange Street. I think it's visible from 3 sides of the house. I think the only side that you wouldn't see is the true east, which heads out to the harbor, and the harbor is actually part of the visibility also. That's it, unless there's land enough to put a ground array behind the building. I don't know exactly where that lot line is, how big that particular one is, to get a land proposal behind the house. But otherwise, I think it's in clear view of traffic and people.
Thank you, Diane. Stephen?
Sure. Spice, thanks for coming in. So just jotting down some notes here. I think, primarily secondary, the panels are on the secondary and primary mass as opposed to just being on the secondary. But then they're also in a visible location. That London plane will provide near total blockage, but only from a certain vantage point for a certain portion of the year. I'm not sure. I think that these panels, by the way, are really much more attractive than anything we've seen. And
We appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah, I think they're, they go a long way, and I believe, in terms of making it easier to get to yes on some applications. But on this one, I'm not sure there's a location that you can actually, on this particular lot, on this particular structure, where you can minimize these visually, which is really what the goal is in the OHD. So those are my comments.
No, I appreciate it, and our thoughts were it's not a historic structure. I wouldn't obviously want to put panels on a historic structure, and it is just on the cusp. And I do appreciate the concept of infiltrating the old historic. So I am sensitive to that. It is it's on a busy street. There's lots of other utility poles there. It's right across from Cumberland Farms.
Yeah.
You know, so it's to my mind, I was, you know,
Some context there.
yeah, there's some context, and I just hope you guys would, you know, work with us and try to move through it, because we you know, it is a utility.
Yeah.
Okay. Jesse?
Well, I am always in favor of renewable energy, you know, and I would, you know, make those comments, even though I know this is a tricky one because of it's in the OHD, but it is across from the Cumberland Farms and just out, you know, on the outer edge. But at the same time, I don't think you're going to get, you know, full support, and you might have to go back to the drawing table a bit there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I don't think this is so much about historic houses necessarily or it being in the OHD. I think it's about the fact that it's very visible from a very heavily traveled public way. So here I am sitting here looking at, you know, your sample, and then I'm looking at this sort of one-story house next door, and I'm saying, well, you know, if I were living in that house next door, and this solar array got put in, and by the way, when the plane tree loses all of its leaves, I think you'll see 95% of that roof plane. I'd say, oh, well, I would like one too, please, and you
And
know.
house next door, round and down.
Yeah, you know, it's, I feel like I'm Johnny McLaughlin when I say this, but, you know, Johnny always is afraid of sort of leaving the gate open by creating a precedent that everyone on the street can then point to and say, oh, well, you know, you approved it right over there. So I think this is one of those cases.
I think, what's the point of having an OHD if we don't stand up?
Okay, so,
I appreciate all that. If you give us a chance to come back,
Oh, absolutely.
of course.
you know, that
Do you
would
want us to motion for revision?
Yeah, and
Sure.
I'd also like just to state that, you know, this isn't an effort, like I'm very sensitive to the fact that it is in the Old Historic District, and I appreciate working with you guys to try to achieve that, and I would like to just remind you that we will see a majority of the Old Historic District most likely go underwater in the next, you know, 50 years.
May I ask him one other question?
Yeah.
Relative to the solar panels?
That's concerning.
Do the solar panels always have to tip, or can they be flat up and down?
Like against a wall?
Mm-hmm.
So they could be, but they'd be very inefficient.
Yeah.
Because they want to be, you know, we'll do a 10-degree pitch often on our ground arrays, because, you know, you don't see them as much, you know, they're only about 4 feet off the ground at a
Right.
10-degree pitch, and then that way they're catching most of the sun during the summertime.
Right, I just wondered why they were never used on an up and down. Say they were facing south and got
Right. So
sun
they,
all the time, why they wouldn't be just as good as up on the roof?
yeah, it's just they don't produce enough if they're just vertical like that in the sun setting. That's just the physics. The panels only produce about 20% of the energy that hits them. They convert into electricity.
Right, because I was one of the ones approved ones out at Bartlett Farms. I don't have a problem with solar panels. I just have a problem with the Old Historic District.
No, I totally appreciate that and respect that. As you guys know, I've worked on a lot of historic buildings. I totally get that. Just hope to continue to work with us. We'll go back to the drawing board.
Yeah,
and we'll see if we can come up with something. We'll keep scratching our heads to see if there's something that can work.
Great, thanks.
Thanks.
Can I have a motion?
Motion to hold for revisions.
There you go. I'll take Diane's. Okay, all those in favor of Diane's motion, I'll hold it for revisions.
Aye.
Thank you. Aye. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
46 Helmet Pond Road.
I've never been much in this.
Good. How you doing?
Paul,
No.
yes. I should have printed off more of these, but looking for some paint color. This is the pool application. The pool hasn't been approved yet. I think this is
Correct.
for payment.
But you're applying
We
for
have
one.
three things
Oh,
for
yeah.
you.
So
Okay.
it's on the
Pool,
agenda. Are you
shed,
just
and
trying to do the trim coat? Do you want to hold the other ones or?
Would like to hold the pool and the cabana. I'm just
Okay.
looking for payment.
Focus
Oh.
on that one.
You don't want them reviewed at all tonight?
I
No.
wasn't sure.
Okay, first of all, can we have a board on this, John?
I know I'm on it.
Well,
I'm on it, I think.
I don't think I'm familiar with those.
the trim color one is. Coombs, Camp, Oliver, and Dutra.
Okay. But, okay, so I'm not on it, but I will just ask the question. So, that's your board on the trim color. Do you not want to move forward with the other two applications that we have on this agenda? Which are the pool and the shed / pergola?
Yeah, so I'm not Dean. I'm standing in for him right now. He had a family emergency.
Okay.
So
So I'm just,
motion to hold those two,
yeah, motion to hold those two.
pool
Well, you
and shed.
don't make a motion, but yeah, okay,
Motion
so.
to hold the
Alright.
pool and the shed for 46.
All right, so all
Okay.
those in favor?
Oh,
We all have a first.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now you guys are down as a paint color. I'm not on it. Does everybody remember who's on it?
I do.
I am.
It's
Okay.
Jesse, Abby, Val, and me.
I like the Quaker.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought we had sort of decided on that.
Could we have your name for the record, please?
Yeah, first name Ryan with an I. Last
Yeah.
name Gaither, Gaither.
Yeah, no, I agree, Quaker.
yeah,
Make a motion to approve with Quaker Gray?
yes.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much
Yes, ma'am.
for coming.
Okay. And this we're not have to recuse from. This is,
we're gonna change it, yeah.
9 Lincoln Avenue.
What did
Oh,
we
so
do?
I have a question about this.
Did we make a motion to hold the shed and put,
Yes,
Yes.
we did that
I did
before the
that.
paint color thing, so,
Okay.
yeah, he.
No, you're good.
Yeah, you're all set.
Yeah, you did a good job.
Yeah.
Um,
very much.
Okay.
I think
Did
I
you sign
need to
it?
sign
I didn't
off
sign
on
it.
this because I got hired by one of the neighbors to do some work.
During the process?
Can you not be
Okay.
fair and impartial?
So, that's.
I don't know, I just
you
wanna
gotta
throw it
ask
out there.
yourself that question.
It's up to you if you can be fair and impartial.
Don't go far.
If you ask that question. to
No, no,
yourself.
just don't go far, because we'd like this application to track with the garage.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
And the garage is up next Tuesday, I think, on new business.
But
To
wasn't
move
it
the
appealed?
That's another application.
What happened was originally we had both the pool and the garage move in together.
Okay,
But the garage got approved to move, but the pool got hung up and has been being reviewed three
But
times
we revised
now.
the garage. to
But then we
better
revised the
hide pool.
garage to move 3 feet away from the property line.
Oh.
So that's
so
a new
maybe we
business
should
now.
wait for the garage.
That's what we're
That's what we're
That's
gonna
what
ask
we're
you to
gonna
do.
I was wondering if
You
that-
guys came all the way down here to say that?
Yeah.
Jeez,
Yes.
Motion.
that's really
Well,
nice.
we appreciate the attention.
But we'd also like to be sure we have a full board.
Well, wouldn't it be?
Well,
Who
No.
who
I'm
else
on
is
it.
on it?
John is
John
missing.
was on the,
Camp,
So-
Oh,
John may be back
Oliver.
next week.
John was on.
Yes.
Yeah,
Do you
that's
think
our
he's gonna be
problem.
back
You know,
next week? Ab?
His
Oh,
wife
his
died.
wife passed away.
Yep,
Oh, I didn't hear that, I'm sorry.
Last week.
Oh.
She died last
So,
Monday.
yeah, we
Wow.
haven't seen John for 2 weeks now, and actually, this is the 3rd week we're missing John. So I haven't even heard about funeral arrangements or anything like that. So
There's not
you
going to
know,
be any.
You guys may wanna just check
Really?
Johnny
Okay.
doesn't do
in
funerals.
with John Hedden and
Yes.
see. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I got a feeling he'll be here next week.
Who's our board, John, just so we
Uh,
know?
Camp, McLaughlin, Oliver, Welch, and Dutra.
And we have no alternates, other alternates available?
Nope.
I can read in again if you need to.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Well, that is, okay, just making sure. So, if you've missed one meeting,
I missed the one that I went to for the 40B.
And you're already in business next week.
isn't
Yeah.
that the way it works? So you can miss one meeting, but if you miss more than one, then you're kinda out of luck?
Out,
Yeah.
if you missed two, you're out.
one.
Correct,
Right.
But
okay,
I've only
So he's
missed
only
one,
missed one
okay.
because I was here last week.
tonight.
I have a question. If this is a whole new application, it would be a whole new,
But the pool is
Is
not.
The
Oh,
pool is
it's
old
not.
business.
It's old business.
okay.
Can you
Unless
come
you
in with a
reapply.
separate fence application?
But then
and
you
come
would
in with
be
the pool?
4 weeks.
You know where I'm going.
Oh.
I'm just teasing.
Okay.
I guess we should probably just wait and see if John will be coming back at any time soon.
Yes.
Why don't you, could you
Yeah,
read
I
in,
know.
I will
just
read
so
it.
we-
This is his
would you
life.
like another, would you like Diane to read it? Because
Sure.
that will give you more, in case something happens, you
Sure.
have a full board.
Right.
Good point.
Maybe
But I
great.
don't wanna
Diane.
lose, I don't wanna lose Val if I don't have to.
And John, we could
She's
put
a-
this
I
old business on
come
next
in
week's
as
new
a-
business.
Alternate.
No
As
problem.
an alternate.
Okay,
The
perfect.
Sitting people sit if everybody's here. If not, that's the only time I come in, even though I'm a commissioner.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank
I
you.
think,
A motion
On
to
that,
yeah, I
track
think
the
somebody
garage.
needs to
Yeah.
make a motion on that, and of course, I'm not on it, so.
Motion to track the, why don't we just have a motion to hold for now, because the application for the garage isn't in yet.
No, it is. It's
Oh,
on
it
new
is.
business
Okay,
next Tuesday.
So motion to track the garage that's on for next week.
You
So
guys
we
have
can
to
come
vote.
next Tuesday and do both the garage and the pool.
We'll do it
Yeah.
together.
Right.
All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
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 Are you the chair?
Aye.
You
I
and
know.
I.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, next up, 12B Oak Hollow.
Oh, did concepts well?
Yeah.
What are you putting a pool in the front yard, or what are you doing over
Okay,
there?
hold on, sorry. No, not you guys.
Okay.
Your fault. Look, I crossed off Grove Lane because, TJ is not here to represent it, so.
Motion to
we
hold for
do-
representation.
Thank you. That's items 12 and 13. There's a motion on the table to hold both of those for representation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks.
Barn revision. Ben,
Okay, this is gonna be an easy one.
you can't see it.
Feel it.
Practice that.
I only use that when I have to, you know, I don't have to like try to overuse that line. Can't see it.
Can't see it.
Too much of that, you start sounding like an apple.
Yeah, you gotta save that image. You gotta save
Oh,
that
you can't
image.
see it.
Wait, so did we motion to hold those, or was that already held at the beginning?
Which?
We motioned to hold them.
TJ?
Yeah.
We just
We didn't
motioned to
know
hold
we held it.
for
We'll get fresh
representation.
snacks.
Okay.
Alright.
It's not proper to say motion.
Well, I go to bed at
Say
7:30.
remove.
What's that?
Wow.
No. I had some.
Okay, 10.
All right, we're not eating anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's on this one?
I believe I am.
I am.
Everybody knows.
I am.
Paul Coombs, Camp, Dutra, alternate. Welch is now on it.
Welch is on it?
Welch is on it.
Okay,
yeah.
very good. All right, so what you got?
So, last time we met, the kind of the two issues were studying the little, drip cap roof over the
Yeah.
west elevation, and you can see on the south and the north, I've drawn it in side view. So I've kind of corrected the length of that little roof shingle bit.
Are you really gonna shingle it?
Yeah, it'll be a little shingle.
Something like that big.
Yeah, it'll be like a
Okay,
course or
very
whatever.
fine.
Yeah, maybe.
Fine.
And then on the north elevation, we all felt we were a little under fenestrated, so I've changed all those little one light.
Tiny little windows.
Now we've gone to double hung
Okay.
to number twos,
All right.
so it feels a little more.
Mine is precious.
You do. Okay, good. Who's next? Anybody ready?
I'm gone.
I'm ready.
gone.
Oh, I know you can. Yes,
I think it looks good.
do you think it looks precious?
It's progressive, it's
You
pretty
see,
precious.
there's two people that think it's precious. How about you,
Is that
Stephen?
an architectural word?
I have
Yes.
some concerns about the structure. Are you gonna be able to hold that little roof up without a bracket?
Come on.
That's so
Otherwise,
funny.
it is precious.
No
It's a good
concerns,
attempt
or,
at humor.
also known as
Yes,
precious.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
voted through, precious. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve as submitted.
Thank you, all those in favor?
Aye.
Great, okay. Mary Half, 43 Cliff.
Oh, motion to hold for.
Well, let's just make sure. I don't see anybody, no, okay. Yeah, so go ahead, make the motion.
Motion to hold for representation.
Thank you, all those in favor?
Aye.
Alright.
You know what, this has been on. This is that
Forever.
demo chimney thing, it's been like, this surfaced 6 months ago.
It reared its
I've
ugly
seen
head.
Yeah, I guess so.
Does that need a
around the
Okay, so
continuation?
now we're at 20, hi there. Hey.
Does it need a
22
continuation?
Easton.
John?
Did you make
nobody's here for the chimney?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we already moved
Expired yet?
to hold.
What I was asking is, does it need a continuation?
Nope, it's good till December.
Oh.
I must have re-upped.
Yeah.
He didn't do what he loses.
Well, if we don't act, we lose.
22 Easton demo main house?
Yes.
Is that what you're from?
Welcome.
Well, thank you.
Let's see if we have a board.
We do.
In the garage.
I think we were waiting for
Oh, is this our
history.
60s house?
It's a 60s house.
It's
Yeah.
been on the market for 22 million,
Yeah, 24 million maybe?
24.
Oh,
Yeah, well, it's
God.
actually two.
Once we
lots.
demo it, we will sell like.
Oh, don't
There you
tell
go.
me it. It's not the one next to the white elephant, is it?
Oh, no, it's further down.
It's
Yeah.
a very flat roofed kind of.
It's like a weird angle, it has a little angle thing going. And
I think that's.
They
I
reevaluated
love
it.
this house.
Yeah, Ed Sanford.
Buy it.
Well, actually, Ed
90%
Sanford's
it
mom
went up.
owns it.
Yes.
But, yeah, Ed and Alfie.
And we no longer get the residential.
Edward Sanford?
Edward, yes.
They have to vote on it every
Been
year.
on the
and we
market
voted
for quite a
Oh, no, it's not the one I love.
Okay, good.
Now,
I forget who was
who
on.
prepared this? Oh,
Sorry,
No,
Coombs, Camp, Oliver, and Dutra.
oh, so it's already been.
Oh, we asked for historic reference,
Yeah, and
Debbie.
here, I'm sorry, this came to
I
me.
didn't see that.
This is Alfie Sanford's house?
They should.
Well, it's the
And
mom's
what's
house,
supposed
and there's two of
Wow.
them. There's one on each
Why did
parcel,
they-
right?
There's another parcel that they don't own any longer, someone else owns that, and it's a similar look to it.
Right.
McCumber was the architect, and he's from Rochester.
Right.
Actually, you know, Graham Burton, I was telling him that's his uncle or something, great uncle.
Really?
Yeah, because Graham's family's from Rochester.
They want 22
They're asking for
But-
more
Small
stuff,
world, that's weird.
More
Yeah.
stuff like what?
Okay.
photographs and lasers and.
Yeah.
What year was that?
This was 2000.
And of course, you're
An
playing
addition
a
was put on
beautiful
it.
house.
Very.
There's no plans
Open
for
dirt
that
plan.
yet.
Sell it.
That was 18 years ago. Who was on it?
So, but you're
That's
just
what
here
we
for the
need.
demo.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. And to give you a little like background too,
That's
is
still in Boston.
from what I get, the garage was moved there, and there's no really significance to the garage. I think the Chip Webster had gotten approval for the demo of the garage already, like
Okay.
10 years ago. And then so the main house is just this letter that we got from I gave to John, and it doesn't really say there's much of. I don't know. You guys can tell me.
The weird thing is that I think the White
Demo.
Elephant took some of this architecture and did some buildings in this
Oh, yeah.
style, and now
Alright.
you're tearing this down.
Like,
It's kind
now we don't have the reference anymore. I don't know.
Who was the architect? that did-
McCumber.
McCumber.
Was a classmate of Philip Johnson.
Right.
Really?
That's what it says in the letter.
That's so wild.
He's got mini slips.
Demo it.
A modern invention.
Are they gonna?
Well, there actually is one right next door. It's a twin.
Yeah, for this one?
Yeah. I think Lisa did work on that house, the one next door.
And so what is the, I'm not
The
reading.
Nantucket Preservation Trust suggests remediation efforts of demolition
That's what I was reading.
or major alterations may be forthcoming.
Val, what's the date on it?
Is it 1956? So it seems to me, via this letter, that even though it's may have said non-contributing somewhere, this person from the Preservation Trust finds it's significant because of the architect.
Yeah, because he did a number of modern and Bauhaus built on the Cape.
Mm.
Well, I got some good history here.
Yeah.
All these different houses this Matt Cumber guy did.
And
Homework.
who owns this at the moment? Who,
Sanford.
Probably
Sanford.
Yeah.
and they're not
That's
interested in
small.
renovating it?
Well, they wanna sell it. It's been on the market for,
Anyone buying it
3
wants
years.
just kind of want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So. And I don't know if this architect may have created some significantly historic pieces, but I don't know if this is really one of them. I don't know though. I can tell from that letter.
66 Harvard Avenue was an interesting house. There. No, those were his parents.
Mm-hmm.
tough.
Rarely employed on the island. I mean, it's pretty. The architecture is pretty common, but not here.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen it.
You see it all over the place, but
Mhm.
this mid-century modern.
Yeah, sort of on the water with big picture windows.
If we do allow it to be demoed, it might be interesting to start sort of noting
Some of
what houses were done by leading architects instead of just wiping them out. We've lost several that were excellent architects and would have been interesting to know what they were. We don't have to put a plaque up, but record it somewhere in the in the demolition thing. I think would be a good idea. I don't know how everybody else feels, but
Can I, I'm not on this, but can I just ask a question as a somebody? Isn't this in the OHD?
Yes.
yeah.
And as such, has it been in front of the HFAB?
Yeah.
Oh, it has been?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
You want me to read
Yeah,
it? What
the
it
last
says?
time, They just
See that little green.
were looking for more information.
Yeah.
That was
well, that's what inspired the search for the,
It says need
Yeah.
more information on house at historic, with historic research. I don't think that this letter is exactly historic research that they were perhaps looking for, but you can see what was there before, when did this go in?
Well, this is research done by somebody at the
Yeah.
Preservation
Yeah,
Trust.
Oh,
that was in response.
oh, I didn't get,
So I
that
think
was
we should,
into this?
no,
Okay,
Yeah.
we should send it to them
yes.
and have them comment based on this.
Okay, yeah,
So
I'll
it's-
make
and
that.
it's- And
It's a
there's
fabulous-
stuff that there's still information we're awaiting. The AIA Archives and Cape Cod Modern House Trust.
Yeah.
That
Madam Chair,
that
Yes.
all, they're still reviewing this.
could
oh,
I make
Isn't that what it says
that,
there? In the 918?
Yeah, Harvard Graduate School of Design, AIA, Rochester, Historic New England.
could I make
So we should
that,
make a motion.
motion to, have historic structures look at the, research
Letter.
letter, so,
Okay, and the Preservation Trust, they're asking for a 3D laser scan of the house.
Well,
Have you got a letter? Have you got a copy of that letter?
That's right.
this letter, I have it. Yeah, I have a copy of the letter.
Okay.
So
That's
they
my
do
move.
ask for that if the house is established as historic and it's gonna get ripped down. I
Okay.
believe
Yeah.
they've asked for that before.
It's
Yes.
not a lot of money. to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
if you're selling your house for 24 million.
I think the
It's a drop in the bucket. Anyway, that's my motion.
All right, all those in favor of Abby's motion?
Aye.
Aye.
So they meet next week, so I can go to that meeting next week.
Can you get that
agenda.
information that
Well,
you
it's just,
need to provide? Is there anything
them.
more that you need to, or that letter covers it all?
I think
You
they
tell
were
me.
looking.
That's pretty thorough. And
Okay.
can we have the garage to track that? The
Well,
demo
can we?
garage?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's the same.
Yeah, they'd already gotten approval for demo like about 10 years ago. From what I understand from Chipwood.
Well, we just got confused with
Yeah.
doing the garage first, so.
It's on
Okay,
there.
we can wait to do it.
It's probably
Yeah,
a
we'll
better
wait.
idea
Okay.
to do it together.
Absolutely. Okay.
Can I ask you one silly question?
No question. So,
Knowing what they're asking for the house, and they own it at this time, the Sanfords, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're, it's in the old historic district. We are supposed to not have vacant land in the old historic district. If you tear down this house, we should have plans of what's gonna go there before we allow the house to be demoed.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have a proposal, then
I need it.
it should come in with the demo request.
Email you one.
If they don't have a demo, they should, I mean, if they don't have a proposal of what's going to go in there, it should be put together, because we don't allow vacant land in the old historic district to sit. It's against the rules.
They can't take down their house.
If they
They
can
want
take
to.
down their
If
house, they
they're-
can do whatever they want to, removing their house, but they have to have plans of what's going to happen to the land.
Right, but they're not going to be required to build those plans. I'm just
They are going
Not
to be
to-
required to submit plans.
right, but they don't have to.
Whether in the sale of the house, another set of plans come up, but they have to have a set of plans.
Okay, so HTC has jurisdiction on that to
Yes.
say we can't allow that without a replacement
Right,
plan.
it's only in the old historic district,
Only in historic.
yeah, the old historic district, not the outer one.
Okay.
Just that center one, that's,
Okay.
one of the reasons is that you will see, we did this for years, it's been on ever since I've been on this board, and I've been on it for sounding.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not to
Sounding
mention,
like
that's
someone
in a
else.
floodplain,
I've
right?
been there.
It is.
Yeah, so you got a pre-existing condition in a floodplain. If you knock that down and let it sit for too long, you're gonna lose your, pre-existing condition.
I don't. Yeah.
As you come in Union Street, you will have gone by where Tony's antique barn was, 78 Union, which laid fallow
Oh yeah.
for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was ugly, it filled up with rubbish, all the rest of stuff. That's,
I don't think that's gonna happen, but I'm gonna make the garage to track,
yep.
so they all go to historic structures, the letters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you guys take a
All in
vote on that?
favor?
Aye. Sorry.
Okay,
Aye.
Val, you're up next.
Yep.
They all come on down.
What's that?
I didn't catch it.
Jason Olbrecht.
Jason?
Yes.
Okay.
Shit, Cove.
I just have to say this, I don't have this opportunity, but I knew Francis McCumber well.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a friend of my dad.
Now, why does that name sound so
They
familiar?
own the Uglies.
The what?
Francis and his brother built East and West Uglies.
were also,
Down on Hilbert.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, what a.
They
another Matt Cumber lived
designed
on
those, they
Monomoy
designed
Road.
those to meet their
Yeah.
wives'
He
vacation
was the professor,
specifications. Easy to
Famous name.
maintain.
and he died.
Before the HTC.
And she just died a year ago.
The uglies.
We gotta figure that out.
Oh,
How do I do that?
Well, if
Was it
Culver Avenue,
Oh, you had to-
maybe
the
think-
They were really good.
Okay, you know where Seward Johnson's
Okay.
building is. And then just to the east of Seward Johnson's is that big old house that used to belong to a guy named Breaker. And then, well, you know, remember where, okay, the tennis court is Tommy, what used to be Tommy Taylor's house. In between, there were these two very modern things set way back. Oh, you know what, the tennis court was in front of?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those were called the Uglies, east and west ugly.
Wow.
Okay, Coombs, Camp and Dutra.
Galleries.
All right, here we go. Get her done.
Linda got to say it all.
okay, Val.
Oh, no.
Welcome. Would you like to start?
Yeah, I told her,
Yes.
Val's, I'm all ready to hear you.
This house has been seen once before, and we took it back and made some changes as suggested. This is William Wright and his wife Francesca,
Hello.
Hello.
and Bill put these plans together. He did a good job. So, where would you like us to start? I have,
I'm starting looking at this page,
okay, that
which had
was,
everything on it.
yep,
So, first of all, we're starting with the changes affecting all views.
yep.
It looks like that's all done, and then east is a street view. Have you got anything to tell us you have?
Yeah,
Okay.
so basically, one of the main things that we did was simplify the trim. It was a little bit, heavy,
Mhm.
and I think that was a concern of the Nantucket, advisory board as well. So the trim's been simplified. Moved the dormers down off the ridge of the structure, about 6 inches. Separated the windows in the dormers, even though there's just a slight, 5 or 6 inches, they're separated.
Yep, they look good.
The right-hand mass was dropped down. It had been prior a little higher
Mm-hmm.
than the main mass. The chimney got recorbelled to a more typical corbel. If you move to the west,
What about the front door?
the front door is, I think, virtually the same. We just took the lattice off.
What about making the bottom 2 windows or the bottom 3 windows, as a panel rather than glass going all the way down? That- Anybody, well,
Where are you? What
at
elevation?
east elevation front door,
Okay. Oh, do the panel just down to the half?
yeah,
Okay.
So
Um,
the bottom two, maybe?
yes,
So they line up with the panel on the door.
right.
I don't think that's a problem.
Okay, and so your next one is your south elevation.
Well, we skipped the west, which is below the east on your front page.
Okay, yep,
Prior, the west left-hand, mass was again lowered as it was higher before than the main mass. There were 4 windows in the rear where there are now 3. The dormer windows changed. They were more horizontal, now they're vertical. A skylight was added on that dormer there. But the concern with the west, we thought, was very minimal because it can't be seen. This is down where the tennis courts used to be,
right,
and it's a hole, sort of.
mm-hmm.
Did anybody get out to take a look at that? To see that?
Yeah, I know the area well.
I know
Yeah.
the area
And there's
pretty
2
well.
houses that are built on, one on either side of them that just got built, so you'll see that's built out, and what's in back are, I think, the old condos or whatever they are, which sort of sit up high because the grade slopes off there.
There's a row of trees that are up about 30 feet blocking it.
There you go.
And the restaurant used to be there.
And then if you move to the south, I believe those windows were mulled and they are now separated.
It looks good.
The little 4-light window, again, had been horizontal and now it's vertical. All of the elevations, of course, reflect the mass that dropped down, that was prior higher. And on the north, the dormers, I forget how that dormer went, let me look. We revamped the dormers. Instead of 2 small singles and 1 larger one in the middle, they are now more equal with the windows separated. And the north cellarway has a more typical trim than it had before. Or railing, sorry.
The railing, yeah.
Yeah. So those are the changes.
All right, so we'll start. Jesse, you want to start?
I think they did the changes we requested, and I have no concerns.
Okay. Abby?
Well, I don't understand, why aren't you using the trim in the dormer and pushing those windows up and using that as the top?
In the west, is it on the west?
Well, here and here, see how you've got the trim and the trim, like why aren't these windows just right up and using that top trim piece as the top?
What elevation are you on?
Well, it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Well, I'd say
It
it's,
just makes more,
I'd say it's bad draftsmanship.
oh,
I
you
really
mean that
intended
is
for
up
them-
in
I
there?
really intended for them to be up against.
Oh,
the-
okay.
There's a piece
Yeah.
of trim over the window, but it's up against the lower piece of trim on the dormer.
So, yeah, sometimes in a dormer, you use that, trim just under the eave there as the top of the window.
Right,
you mean like
it's flat.
Yeah, and you don't have another.
Goes all the way across.
What is it, what are the colors? What's the trim color?
White.
White, yeah, so you're going to have, two
It means
lines of white.
eliminating this
This strip.
right here, and it just is
It's the
flush
same as that.
up.
And then especially on the west elevation,
It goes all the way across, there's no space there.
Right.
the window will line up with
A little better.
yeah, a little better.
Okay.
The other comment I have about the east elevation on the front of the house, so Diane and I are at odds on this. I don't mind gang windows, so we have a fight going on here constantly. So I actually like them ganged, but I think separated, I'm wondering if those Bs aren't too big and overwhelming. I wonder if they couldn't be Ds. That's
Where are you again?
over the
These
front.
are very small.
Right, but I'm just doing
They're
a
on
high,
the
I'm
left
just
wing.
trying to get a hierarchy of like,
Yeah, these are.
I'd make the windows on the first floor bigger.
Not,
What about
not
doing that?
egress.
yeah.
Make awful high windows.
I think the dormer with the 3 gang windows,
What?
on the west elevation where you have the dormer with the 3 gang windows, I think it's more successful that way, and I wish the front of the house were that fenestrated that way.
Well, I like the way they change it.
Everybody?
I mean, I think it draws attention to the, you could have shingles in between the,
When you have a small thing, it just gives those dormers that look like the front of the building and not the back end where the maids live. That's the way I think. But anyway, I would make a proposal that the windows on the first floor of the east elevation in the main part of the house, the center part, were what's
one size larger?
Yeah.
One size larger?
It is not a big facade, but it is a facade that the fenestration is good.
They're already 54 inches in height.
Okay.
It would go right up to the
I
top
think
of the
it would
ceiling.
look strange to have just those two windows.
No, it'd be all the A's.
All the A's.
And she's saying make
Is
them
the C a
wider.
bigger window?
Longer, taller.
Is the C a bigger window?
Where's
The
C?
one on the left side of the front door is the beginning of a stairway, so we can't
Okay.
make that window
All right,
any
but
taller.
it was just a thought that I did that. So can we have a motion?
Go ahead, Dutra.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
There's 4 of us here.
there was,
Oh, it's only 3?
on the East Elliott motion for what, for revisions or for approval?
No, motion prior and approval.
Okay, so motion to approve, help me out here because I'm not sure all the changes
Oh,
were made other than the
push
east elevation.
the B windows in the dormer up
Okay.
into the trim up.
Okay, so motion to approve on the east elevation, the front door to have the bottom 2 side lights, no,
Solid.
solid, no glass. On the west elevation, the trim on the top of the window to be part of the trim of the dormer. Was there anything else?
No, I think that was
And
it.
that's
To carry
All
through,
the
carry
dormers?
throughout the
Yeah.
plan.
Trim of,
just pushes the window up. And
right, trim to push up on all dormers. That sound good? Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye. Aye.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce.
I'll bring these in.
I think it will look very good out there.
Yeah, nice there.
It's nice to see, because I was on it originally when they had the restaurant and the whole thing was a mess.
Our lot has a piece of the restaurant was sitting on our lot.
Does it?
We know exactly what you're talking about. We were out there right after it was demolished. so.
Ah. Well,
I say give them a hand too, they did these plans themselves and they look great.
Good job.
Well,
Oh, thank you.
Okay, actually, I
Not
don't,
just the moral support.
no one's here from Emeritus. Oh, could you?
Oh, motion to hold for.
It won't fold
yeah,
till he gets in here.
oh, yeah. Yeah, let's
Motion
make a
to
joke.
hold Emeritus.
Yeah,
Till forever.
Emeritus is not here.
All right, let's move on.
Let's continue.
Okay,
That just shortened the night a lot.
Jeff there, Gladlands.
Hey, oh. Cocktails.
How's it going?
Yeah, man,
does it take time?
we might get out of
And I
here.
thought we'd get out of here before 7.
Uh-uh.
I'm gonna bring
You want some?
interesting facts. It's got M&M's, the new M&M's made out of caramel.
Twizzlers.
We don't get any.
Oh, man, I had a third of that already. Okay. Mr. Thayer, you have a board?
Paul, Coombs, Camp, Oliver, Dutra.
Thanks.
I got a cut.
Looks good.
Got it.
Yeah. All right.
Looks good, looks
We're
sharp.
not past that.
I'm like, what's wrong with it?
What else could happen to it?
What did you do? Are you okay?
Did it melt? Did it just fall off?
It is falling off a little bit. Okay.
Drafting error?
Well,
So,
Eric's
what did you do?
okay, so when you saw this last, you actually, I wasn't here for the Thursday meeting, but it was had a 4-foot plate height. Now it's essentially a 0 plate height. Dropped the scale of it, the height of it, by about 4 feet. One thing I was just kind of noticing on the east elevation, if you wanted to, which I think probably would be a little bit more successful, if I ran that eave across the front, so it had that break.
You mean on the east?
On the east, yeah.
That would be really nice. If
Yeah.
it was very easy to do.
Super easy, yeah. And it's, so I think the comments were that it was too tall compared to the house because
Oh, it looks
if
good.
the house is gable dormers, and I think it was a great observation, so that was a change. Thank you,
Okay.
Chair.
What does that look like? What does that look
Well, it's just, he's gonna run the eaves all the way across, so,
Oh, yeah, I like
you know, it'll be like
The
a
huge setback.
setting dome. I always like those. Okay, let's see. So Abby, you wanna start?
I'm all right with that change.
Okay. Jesse? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's, and I appreciate the other changes. I don't know what they are. Did you say what they were?
That was the biggest one. That was
Okay.
pretty much it. We just dropped the height of it by about 4
Because
feet.
now it matches the house much
Yeah,
better.
no, it was a great observation by the board, so thank you.
Okay, so that was Abby. How about you, Jesse?
I like it, no concerns.
Okay, Val?
Ditto, motion to approve
Okay.
with the trim going across the east.
Diane, do you have any issues with that?
Nope.
Okay, so Val has made a motion to approve with the eave trim running all the way across under the dormer on the east elevation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Is that through staff or is that?
through
Yeah.
staff, yeah, sorry. 2080 Old Point. Ooh. Oh, man.
Thank you. That was a nice shot.
Get one in
Dragging
return.
myself. Maybe a cold brew coffee before I came. So good. It's going without any cream. It's just, yeah, it's cold.
Got butter in it.
Huh?
Got the butter in it.
Is that
Is
real
this
butter?
new or is it?
Butter.
Or is it new?
Cheese.
Oh, yeah, which is butter.
Oh, just cold brew, not the,
Yeah.
there's another manufacturer one that they call it. cold brew something.
Paul, Coombs, and Welch.
That's
Oh.
it?
Oh,
Oh, but
Here.
then you made
Cold brew's a
Cheers.
lot less bitter.
Interesting.
Let's filter it.
Just, can you get cold brew?
That just,
You can.
this one, that's
Um,
all?
Okay, so folks, our board on this is
Who else?
me, Diane,
Yes,
and Stephen.
that's
Now,
Jesse.
so, Matthew, you wanna
Yes.
tell us, what
Certainly.
you did?
So, I think if we go to the north elevation, that is, probably the, so, on 8.2.1, so the biggest thing was
Chairman
the
needs
board
to sign it.
felt that the scale was big, and so what we did, we actually did some pretty drastic changes to it, where the biggest one, may not seem drastic to you, but on the north elevation, you'll see the right side, previous approval, which I think you can't see, but we actually had a full 2-story section on that right side on the second floor. And that really contributed to, I think, the overall length and mass and size of this. And so we omitted a whole section of the second floor and actually shifted it around the back of the building. So that's on A2 point there, right there, Steve. So this previously had a full 2-story area above it, and we omitted that. I don't know if you can see that.
No, I-
Yeah, there you go, right there, yeah.
Because that was,
So the idea is that now the house is kind of viewed as just being from like here to here.
No,
The other thing is we disconnected the garage. Those were previously connected with a second floor deck walkway. We've omitted that. We've also taken the garage and we did, you can see the height, how much height we've taken out of it. We actually dropped the height of the garage by, I think, almost 3 feet. We did that through a number of different ways. Primarily, we just dropped the finished floor elevation, so you can actually see that the garage level is lower than the main house by about 30 inches. Secondarily, we actually adjusted the roof pitch so that it's somewhat of a salt box. The primary reason for doing that was that on the east elevation, the eave line is much lower. Because the topography drops off so much, what we wanted to do is have that eave line be as low as possible, essentially read as a 0 second floor plate height, so that it's almost as if the building, it's a smaller scale building, it's about 3 feet lower, and then the eave height is even lower, so it has a very close relationship to the grade at that lower portion. and then it kind of follows the grade as it moves up. That's the other reason we disconnected those two structures. The breezeway was creating like this disconnect, and it just wasn't flying. So we've really tried to drop the scale of the overall width of that building. So it's really the kind of, in terms of a massing partie, it's really the primary center gable with a secondary added piece to the right, and then a secondary gable or gambrel forward to the left. So those are the changes. We made a number of other changes. You can see on the west elevation how we kind of took that second story mass and turned it around the corner. But I think that it's helpful. We have a one-story mass on that west, which you can see it's a very shallow. It's like I think it's somewhere in the range of like 16 feet tall. So I feel in terms of a hierarchy of masses, I think we've addressed some of those concerns. On the back of the building, it's mostly fenestration changes. We added some decks. We kind of pulled some stuff out. I don't think you can. So
This is the south is the back?
yeah, yes,
You
yeah,
took
that's the back.
On the south elevation, you, lowered the roof?
On the
over
south
there?
elevation,
On the garage.
Not the garage.
on the south,
And you put a cupola in on the garage, right?
yeah, we had like a monitor previously,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of goofy, and so we, not to say decision, but it's kind of a smaller structure. It's set behind the house. I don't think you're ever going to see it. It's the dining room. It's still pretty shallow. So most of the fenestration changes on the south are on the back of the building. I don't think there's really any visibility whatsoever. So the changes are
Now, just as a pragmatic comment,
Yep.
the garage is now completely separate from the house.
Yeah.
So, we can review that for you, but I think you're gonna need to get a separate application
I think so,
to the building department.
Yeah.
Let's see, was this the three-person board? or-
Yeah.
Okay, so Diane,
Yes,
are you ready?
yeah.
Okay.
Most of the changes, I understand going from what you had, what's that south elevation? You had a door, on the original south elevation, you changed that. You took the dormer out and turned it into a gable. And then on the next over, that big gable, you made it into a deck, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There. But why did you change these?
We just went to one door. It's on the back of the building. And
I know it is, I didn't mind those, but
Yeah.
anyway, you won't see it.
It was chopping up this that second floor. We just thought that looked a little cleaner.
And I didn't mind anything there. Did we have something on the way back, one to begin?
This isn't the garage. The garage is over here.
Right, well,
This is whatever this is.
whatever it is, what is that building with the,
It's the garage. And the second floor is a gym.
No, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Darryl.
That's the dining room.
dining room?
Yeah.
Is that going to be opened up in the,
Inside?
yeah?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Oh, good.
Yeah, totally.
Good. I think, and the front door is on the north elevation, right?
Yes.
Okay, and do those, your glass side lights, do they go all the way down to the ground?
There's probably like a 11-inch bottom rail, but other than that, they do. And the front door itself is solid. That's not.
Okay, well, and I like the changing of the railing that you have there.
Yeah.
So, and you removed, changed the dormer configuration and made it one long dormer again. And I appreciate completely that second floor was
That was a
removed.
big change. That was a big push. That took a lot of convincing. That's why it's been a while since we've been back.
Yeah.
But we took it and pushed it. And I agree with it. I mean, I think that it was a good suggestion because it makes it not. That piece made it
When your
Push to go to the
eye
edge.
drops off.
Yeah.
When it comes to that dormer, and it makes it look so much, shorter or smaller. And I'm glad you separated the garage from the house. So,
Can I ask you a question just about that logistically? I would probably submit, how would I handle that? Because we submitted it as one because they were connected, and now they're two. Would I submit a second application for the garage separately?
Same thing. You're gonna need to,
Yeah, okay,
but we've already reviewed it.
okay,
We're reviewing it now.
gotcha.
so anyway, I don't have any major things. I think that the changes are good and basically what we asked for.
Thank you, Diane. How about you, Stephen?
Yeah, hey Matt, thanks. My concern is still the overall massing. And I guess the
I don't know.
counterpoint to that may be the height, and what I mean by that is,
Let's see what I have here.
it looks to me like you're gonna be, what's your top of foundation? It's gonna be 44?
Should be on there. We've
gonna
done
be
the
more
height
than
calcs and everything. You can also
Yeah.
see too that we show the existing house location and size.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Where are we there?
I don't know.
Looking at-
We are not any higher. The finished floor elevation is the same finished floor elevation as the existing house.
right, you got, so it looks like 44 here is the plateau that the house is built on. Okay, so just, the thrust of this is that this is a much wider east to west, roughly parallel to Hill Point than the existing structure. And it is, slightly forward, a good portion of the mass on the eastern front, and then bringing it a little bit closer to the street. So to me, it reads as a larger mass, and it's a taller structure overall between the two. The existing and this. I understand the existing one is more centralized height, but this has the height spread out. So that's my concern with respect to the mass and the height. But when I'm looking at your elevations, it just occurs to me that it looks like you've got some room to come down on to carve out a little bit of that plateau height, so that you're not having steps up into the house, steps down to the garage. Your 27.2 is being pulled off of your 42-foot wall height, correct?
Yeah, which, I mean, to your point, I actually would be surprised if that I'll find out the existing height of the existing house, because it's in that ballpark, maybe be like, 27 feet is not a tall.
No, I know,
Yeah.
I know. It's just that it's so much more house left to right addressing the road that is the same height. Or it might even be shorter, I don't know, but it just
could be.
reads as a much larger mass. And so my concern is that perhaps it come down, if you can lower that plateau. I'm one vote on
Which
this.
one?
Well, you are, but okay.
So I
Sorry
just
to-
wondered what elevation,
Well, like looking at the north elevation,
Okay.
the front, the one that's gonna be the most visible.
right,
What Stephen is essentially saying is, that, if you look at the north elevation, the
Right.
27.2 in height is taken from a plateau that is higher than the grade in front of it, which appears to be like 18 inches to 2 feet lower. So Steve, I believe, is suggesting like we'll knock a little bit more off of the hill in sort of to compensate for the fact that it is a very wide profile.
And the only thing I would add to that is that on the western side, if you look at the site plan, the slope drops off pretty precipitously from 42 to 34.
Right.
So the topography is going to accentuate the height of this structure, where the current structure is further away from the drop off.
Right.
And the height of the existing mass is more centralized. I'm not suggesting a redesign.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I think you need to get a foot out of that plateau. So your grade at entry is, I don't know what it is now. It looks like it's 42 and
42 and something.
Yeah, I
what's,
could find out, because we have, I think we're in that range. One thing I would point out is that
It says 44 right there.
the reason for that drop off is we are actually cutting the parking down. You know what I
Right.
mean? We're actually cutting that portion. The
Right.
reason we're doing that is because we lowered the garage. So the existing grade at that higher elevation is the existing grade. But having said that, I can certainly look at the topography and see if we can play around with it.
It looks like I mean, from this, it looks like the top, your first floor, finished floor is 43 and a half,
44, and the garage is 35.
which I would say if you could get a foot out of, I think makes a big difference,
I can look at that.
personally.
Well, so here we go, because.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No, it's fine. I think because we're just a three-person board at this point, I would like you to, make some efforts to accommodate Stephen's concern about the height.
Sure.
Because, you know, it is a wide building. It's a lot of building, and if we can just get a little bit more out of the height in whatever way you think you can manage it, that would be appreciated.
Can I mention two
Yes,
things that
yes,
I
ma'am.
forgot I
Okay.
brought up? One was, you weren't able to move it back away from the road, from Nantucket Road anymore.
Eel
I-
Point.
Move it away from Eel Point Road a little bit. The other thing is on the, north elevation, your roof walk, the center post comes down on the peak.
Oh, yeah. You want to divide up into thirds?
That would
Yeah.
be great.
I think that would be good. And we gotta try and remember, I don't know that you could do that now, is that we try not to build on the highest spot of the property.
That's why Stephen's trying to get that plateau to be lower than what it is right now.
Right, and, I guess this site is one of the closest to Eel Point Road houses.
There's other houses that are closer to Eel Point.
Are there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we tried to utilize, there's an existing, plateau that the house is built on, and so that's what we stuck with. Ironically, actually, when we first brought this in, the house was further forward by about 10 feet. We actually pushed it back, full disclosure, not because you asked us to, but because it just made more sense construction-wise. So it has moved back, but it's essentially in the same place as the existing house. But I can certainly look at the elevation. Would one way to compensate for that as well too is a potential trade-off color? Is that something to think about?
I don't know, is there kind of an invisible paint for that middle left mass? Because you could put it on the roof portion and it would take away all my
Sky
concerns.
blue.
Sky blue.
Was this Billy Cadden's house
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the red roof?
Yep. You got it. You got it. Okay. Well, I'll take that into consideration. I'll circle back
So make a motion to hold a revision?
Thank you.
and I'll resubmit.
Sorry, Matt.
No worries. I mean, I think we're getting close.
Yep, you are, definitely. Wisconsin Casino.
Invisible trim, invisible
Yeah.
sidewalk.
Benjamin Moore just came over to do.
You got really good. Yeah.
The Pentagon patents are running out, that stuff's gonna go crazy.
You know about that black, right? That's not why you made that comment?
No, what? Did I miss current events?
Well, in art circles, it's interesting. So, US government created a black, this was back in the 60s when they were doing the U2 stealth things.
It absorbs light or something?
It absorbs 99.5% of all the visible spectrum of light, which means that like if you're shooting a radar at it, it won't pick up because it doesn't reflect. So they don't, other governments have been able to work around that technology. So the government put this color, this patented color, up for bid. And an artist named Anush Kapoor, who is the famous guy who did the Beam in Chicago, bought the color. He's the only guy that can use that color.
Really?
How can you sell a color?
It's so funny. There's also a pink, apparently, that like one person owns the copyright to it and no one else is allowed to use it.
Like Lady Gaga or
It's something like that. But so all
maybe
these
pink.
other artists were really upset that Anish Kapoor bought this
Bought the
color, so
color.
they created another black that was like 99.4%. It was a different mix, and so now it's like the non-Anish Kapoor black.
The non-
Anyway, so now we're on to Wisconsin Casino.
Okay. Cole, Coombs, Oliver, Dutra, and Welch.
Getting down there on some of these.
All right, so this was about the doors, right, Matthew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's that?
So we submitted a ton of historic photos. And
Yeah.
historically, the building, should be in the file, basically was fairly benign in terms of fenestration options. They're basically just larger scaled 6/6s and very simple fenestration options. So we looked at a bunch of different combinations, and we thought that this was an appropriate solution. We removed the transoms. Again, we looked at, like diamond patterns. We looked at a number of different versions and kind of tried to pull off the historic imagery of the structure. And ironically, there wasn't a great variation of fenestration options. The primary purpose of this is actually to provide additional light into the space, and so this is what we came up with.
Good, thanks.
Well, so I appreciate the transoms going away, but I think now the net glass is more than the doors that were half glass with the transoms. Is there any way to make these look like they're windows?
Well, what I was going to suggest is we looked at a number of different versions. There were larger scaled 6/6s historically, and so we did have a couple versions that integrated with a combination of doors and double windows, and so we could do that.
It would at least pale back to some of the historic photos.
Yeah, that's
Did the historic
Which
windows
ones are you
have the
looking at?
transoms?
No.
Oh.
No, that was a call. You guys were saying it
The
looked a little.
last,
I gave you the,
I think
I
that's the
just
only
wanted to
set.
make sure I know what I was
Yeah.
looking at.
that room that's behind those windows is indeed a black hole.
Yeah, it's super
Yeah.
dark. That's the idea.
So,
Because the other thing I could do is integrate, like right now I could maybe take the two bays on the inside, so if I wanted French doors, maybe the two bays on the inside went to like double windows, and then it was, some combination, so it's not.
Well,
it's
that
not a
wouldn't
mix.
really work because you got 5 bays, right? 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5. So it's kind of like.
1, 3, and 5 could be doors, could they?
Exactly, that's what I was saying.
Oh, is that what you?
Yeah,
meant?
1 through
Okay,
5,
then that
and
does.
2 and
Yes,
4.
that does. So
Could be
there's
windows.
symmetry.
Windows.
oversized window.
Right.
Yeah. And you can see them in those historic photos. They're not
Yep.
the greatest resolution, but
No, we can see it.
I was looking for something cool historically to integrate, but there really wasn't anything. There's a round, clear window.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see, so Val, have you spoken?
Yeah.
That's what, okay, and Diane?
Yeah, I think 1, 3, and 5 as doors, and
two
Two and
bays,
4
2 and
being
4 would be
windows.
windows. Okay, that's a good suggestion. How about you, Stephen?
Yeah, I agree with that. I do want to say, I think the size of the doors is successful with respect to the scaling issue and being able to eliminate the transoms. But if you were going to break it up as to windows, and add windows, that seems like a good
I
solution.
can't see what's down
Okay,
there.
Jesse, thanks.
Yeah, no, I'll go with the board on this, but I'm just gonna ask this because I'm curious. The existing elevation has 2, 3, and 4 as doors and 1 and 5 as windows. Yeah.
I wonder what the building was.
Matt, what was it before it was Wisconsin Casino?
I don't know.
Was it ever really a casino?
I don't know.
Were there Wampanoags on the
Yeah,
island?
It was an
the,
actors colony, Wisconsin.
Yep.
It
I
was
could
a
just start
stage.
making stuff up if you want. I don't know.
The way
Focus
the
more
world
on
these days.
whatever historic photos we could find. But I didn't actually read the original use. I should know. I'm sorry, but I don't. I will next time.
And the stairs that come down off that deck,
Mhm.
in front of those windows, is that going to stay the way it is now, or are you reshaping it?
He's putting the railing.
We put in the railing, and we are in that portion. I believe is yeah, we're adding the stairs, so it is changing slightly. And there's actually integration of the benches. If you look at the plan, you can kind of see what's going on.
This is the way it is now.
Wait, that's demo. Here.
Yeah. Pretend that there's.
So I think they sit on the steps, that's why they're leaving them like that, right?
Yeah.
They sit.
And the railings we have to do by code.
They sit on the steps and they
Size pane.
have food out there.
Yeah.
So motion to hold for revisions?
Sure.
Or. Wow, I thought didn't we all?
Minor? Oh, so we're just gonna go with the through staff? I'm looking
that's
for,
kinda what I was
yeah,
thinking.
I was just trying to move it along.
So-
I'm totally fine with that.
Hey, could I?
Phase one, go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering, who is asking you to do this?
Scott's Casino.
Sconsa Casino, so.
Michael Coleman.
My one thought is,
Yeah.
how do they wanna use this? Because I think making these into windows, I don't know if that's going to be practical. You know, this is not a commercial, I mean, it's a clubhouse.
Mhm.
But I just wonder if that's going to be helpful for them to have those windows there, or do they need the circulation of
Well,
all
they're
those
gonna
doors?
have, they're gonna have these.
Three of
they're gonna have
those.
Three
Yeah.
pairs. of them.
Right, I'm just wondering if it would help to really make it work, if you would ask
Yeah.
them, like, what do you need
It was
to make that work?
It was mostly light and circulation, but I would prefer to do the through staff. But to your point, and if it's not a hassle to the board, I could come back with those changes. You could look at it, and I could also just double check with the staff if that's an appropriate solution for them as well.
So we'll, yeah, I would go back to my original motion.
Okay. So all those in favor of Stephen's motion to hold for some minor revisions?
Thank you.
Aye.
Good point.
Next up, 11 Meadow Lane.
Well, that dark little area could have spawned a lot of relationships, you never know.
I think that has happened.
John.
They used to have
We know where
the
John.
big yard
Yeah.
sale out there.
God, he's in the gutter.
And
It's where the wine festival originally started from.
Nantucket, the summertime.
I know.
And they had the film
A lot of-
festival, part of the film festival out there.
Okay.
Who's on this one?
This is the one we've been doing for ages.
Let's see. I have Coombs, Camp, Oliver, and Dutra.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you tell me what you did?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So we came back last time with that salt box version, and I think everybody just didn't like it, didn't think it was very successful. So previously, we actually had, it was almost a full 2 stories. If you look at the previously approved south elevation on A2.1, there was no dormer, but it was a fairly high plate height. And I think that the board was like, just okay with it in terms of scale and size. We tried to integrate a salt box for construction reasons and methodology. We're going to use probably a panelized system. That's what generated it, our request for the alteration, but it wasn't successful. So what we've done is just conceded to 1.5 stories on that south elevation. It's a primary elevation, so it's basically.
And it still is that 28.4?
It's an inch shorter.
I can't
Yeah, good inch.
read it. Yeah.
A
yeah.
good inch shorter.
1 inch, 1 whole. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
It's good.
I'm going to.
So, but I mean, the height of it is We dropped the plate there. You can see it. It's actually, so that's why we've got the dormers.
It looks so much short, it looks much
It's because
better.
of the
Yeah.
eve.
Yeah, I agree. It was, the salt box was an attempt, but it was not, it was a failed attempt. Yeah, that was my idea. Full disclosure.
Okay, is somebody ready to
Oh.
begin?
Yeah, and we omitted the pergola.
You omitted it, right?
Yeah.
Admitted it.
Admitted it and omitted it.
Wiped it out. You wanna begin?
Yeah. Thanks, Matt, for that. Even though the height is virtually the same, it really visually
Yeah.
makes a huge difference. And, I, for one, appreciate that.
You know what it is too, the plate is lower, but the pitch on the previously approved was a squatter pitch. So we dropped the plate, but then the proportion of the pitch just looked better at the 10.5, so that's why it's only an inch shorter. But the
And-
eave is much lower.
Did the C window on the south get bigger?
See window on the south. I think it did. We could stick to the original size, we just thought it proportionally looked a little bit better.
I don't know. I like the other size for some reason, but see what everyone else thinks.
Jess, what about you?
I think they're successful changes.
The
Mainly,
east is really better. Look at that.
way better, yeah.
As windows look good, they must be fixed.
I think it's successful changes. It looks so much shorter, a lot more than 1 inch. So just adding those dormers really made the difference.
It's the plate drop, you know, makes it look short.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
Ab?
What about, so who gets to see that monolithic chimney?
The people in the pool house.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Is that right?
Well, if you look at the
Okay.
site plan,
All right, I'll go, that's the answer. I don't need anything further. What's the trim color, remind me? White.
White.
Except for a chorus of
I have
white.
one more
White.
that's this.
ABW.
And the
It's got cottage
shutters?
corners.
That helps.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think the shutters are
Blue.
black or charcoal. I forget. You know,
Turquoise?
I think what's that color, Ray? Oh no, we can't use that because it's
Yeah,
licensed to one
antique.
person.
Oh,
Oh,
Damn it!
You gotta get on
what
and
about the
shop for it.
pink?
Nope.
All right.
Taken.
It's white, isn't it? Just say
I-
it's white, I'm sure.
I don't think they're white. The shutters are not white. I want to say a black.
That house up on Cliff Road in Nantucket, it has turquoise blue trim and on its windows and on its storm windows. They must have just painted because it knocks you,
Off your socks?
yes.
Or in your socks? What
I
is-
don't wear socks, so it took care of that.
Hey, Matt, what are the overhangs? They look like they're two sections. Like, especially on the east, it's like the east and the north. I can't,
You were so close.
with regard to specifically the little dormer that has, it seems like it's flush.
The rakes or the eave?
Maybe I'm just seeing I don't know, I can't figure out what I'm looking at.
Is it the eave or were you?
See how it has like, this comes across and then there's something else underneath?
That's just the eave overhang. I think that one was.
Okay, so
That's
that,
nothing,
and
yeah.
can this just like scooch back a little bit and have some shingle in front of it? Or some
Or I could raise some height.
different,
I could raise that and put some shingles, of course, the shingles under the sill.
Okay. What, is that it?
yeah,
What I would just say is that I was up and down that street, for some reason we were doing census stuff. And the existing building looked like it was out in the middle of the desert. It looked terrible. I think you have finally gotten this so that it looks busier, which makes, I think, the building more appropriate to where it was. It's
Yeah, and don't forget, there's the zoning shed in front of it,
right.
you know, off the side, and then the lot next door is gonna be built as well. That one will be set back further.
At some time, right away built or
I
after this
think
is
it'll be,
built?
yeah, I think it'll be coming in probably within the next month or so.
Well, sometimes a building out there lonely is good, but this needs.
Yeah.
It's a family street. The building has to look, I think, like part of that family. So those windows up in that little dormer, are they fixed or?
You know, they could be fixed if you prefer.
I don't care, but Johnny might.
Yeah. We can make them fixed.
all right, motion to approve from staff with the dormer on the east, pushing back slightly so there's a shingle course below the windows. That's my motion.
What about, do we ever find out what the shutters are?
Does it say on the application? I'm sorry, I hesitate. I would say that it's black or a charcoal, as I recall, but I can't say that with
don't
100%
know.
Oh, you had black
certainty.
somewhere.
Huh?
You had black somewhere, didn't you?
I would say typically they would be black.
It doesn't show up on the old one.
I'm almost
Do you
certain.
think
Not
that
on
would be
that
appropriate for the
application?
neighborhood?
No.
I think so.
Black?
I mean, it could be like a chart. Yeah, I think so. You know, anything other color looks a little
What's the color of the trim?
white.
What about white?
What's
You
the
could do
door?
White shutters?
Yeah,
Charcoal gray.
it's kind of a friendly, light,
I
hearted
haven't seen that.
neighborhood.
Is that a thing? Can you do that? White
Mm.
shutters?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I just think black is a little harsh. I don't know anything that's black on that.
There's a lot of black.
All right, motion to approve, as I said, and color to be determined with John in the office.
Blue or green it is.
Jesus.
That's kind of.
That's my
I
motion.
can ask.
That blue,
And a blue might
black
be,
color.
yeah, what a blue, like that slate blue, what's that, Hamilton blue?
Yeah, I'd rather have a
I'll
blue than
ask.
a black. I just.
Not that blue that's up
Take
on
my motion back.
No.
No, I just, I think it's, don't you think it's gonna have a big
Diane, are you
impact?
sharing?
Yes,
So there is a motion on the table that Val made. Just,
I'll amend it.
okay.
Anything but black?
Motion to approve with the east dormer being pushed back and the shingle course running in front of it, and the shutters to be Hamilton blue.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Matt, you got your Hamilton blue shutters.
Much more.
Oh,
Boom.
Black.
I just, oh, wait.
23 black.
Another great night.
He's still here. What have you done?
Yeah, so this one, if I could, I'm just gonna, well, wait, but this was, you wanted to verify that it was approved, Val, connected to the main house, and it was. And actually, in the file, there's a reduced copy.
Oh, so did you talk to,
And shampoo.
Ben Shampoo?
Oh, yeah.
I
He
mean,
came
This
in
was
on
the approval?
Thursday.
yeah,
These are the
Yeah.
proposed, I guess.
Oh, this was the approval?
and
That's the old approval.
Not that this is really germane to any of this, but,
Well, it is, because
Yeah.
it was with regard to,
Yeah,
All right,
could you
so-
see the pool?
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
tell you later about the fence.
okay,
He needs a fence back there.
okay,
Whether
And
it's connected or not.
okay.
So he was
Oh,
running
yeah,
between
yeah,
the
yeah, I
house and the
gotcha.
garage.
I
Oh, yeah,
gotcha.
what's the
Which
final?
means you're gonna have to put a fence
think
and
I know.
gate in the breezeway.
Or a gate in the breezeway
Correct.
somewhere. coming in or going out.
Okay, so what did you find out?
So, yeah, it was originally approved, connected to the main house, and the approval val is in the file. And so we had submitted it as two separate applications, because we were unclear about whether or not it should be one, or, you know, because it's technically two permits. So anyways, we had moved the
That
house.
happens a lot, Matt.
What's that?
That happens a lot.
Yeah, so we had moved the house over, gotten that approved by 10 feet, but we failed to move the garage over by 10 feet. So this is literally just kind of cleaning up. And when you had reviewed the house, you had reviewed the house and the garage as attached, but as a way of just, you know, good housekeeping. We wanted to have the garage reflect its location, accurate location.
So, it's closer now, or it's farther away now?
Closer.
It's kind of hard to even.
Closer by 10 feet.
Does it have that
I thought
huge
the last-
drive?
This is the way to think of it, ready? Think of it this way. You see it on the top of the sheet where it says east, north, south, west? The building and the garage are connected by that breezeway.
Yeah.
That distance has never changed. That distance has never been changed. The only clerical part that we did is we actually came in for the main house to move the main house and basically the garage all as one, just shift it to the north by 10 feet to take the whole assembly. The whole assembly has never changed in the way that it's presented, it's
Okay,
shown.
because it has the same distance, so it's, everything just went that way.
Everything just moved up, but the problem was we didn't come in for the garage as well. We just came in for the house. And when we
Gotcha.
submit our building permits, we just didn't want there to be any discrepancy.
Hey, who's on this, John?
Cole, Coombs, Camp, Oliver, and Welch.
Okay. Do I remember it?
Do you mind that?
No, I don't. Well, also, as you now know, that's gonna change in that there is going to be a fence gate that runs along there.
Okay.
That has to happen because of the
Where's the
pool.
fence?
Now, somebody
No,
remind
it's
me,
not on this, it's
the
on.
Ben shampoo application on Thursday, did we approve that or did we hold
Yes.
it?
You
We
approved
did.
it.
No,
And did we approve it with a fence running across there?
no, we left that for Matt.
Let me throw something else out at you. If you have an automatic pool cover, do you need a fence?
No.
Ben doesn't want that.
Yeah, okay, and I'm fine with, yeah.
Talk to your
I will,
boss
I'm
there.
totally supportive of that.
Okay, and also, I think that having the fence running across there will help some of the board members voting on this it will allay their concern that it's just sort of this wandering roof
Yes.
that is not connected in any other way. So I think that what we should do here is that we should approve that, well, I'm suggesting that we approve this with a type 2 picket fence running across to fulfill 4 feet high, to fulfill the pool fence requirement that Ben wants.
So
Well,
backside,
you can't see it on
Backside.
here. It's on
backside,
here, it's like
somewhere in
wide
this
open.
area.
I would probably go.
And he wants to put a
Here,
fence.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm down with that.
Down with that?
Oh, right there at the,
Just
okay. Gotcha.
All right, make that motion, Abby.
Makes sense.
Okay, somebody gonna give me a motion?
Whatever you said.
Okay,
Did you
just
get
say
that,
so.
Terry?
Part of it.
I can.
So 23, motion approved is submitted subject to a type 2 4-foot fence between the house and the breezeway,
Between the house and the breezeway, or
between the house porch
and the garage.
and the garage,
Right.
under the rear western portion of the breezeway roof. Is that where you're gonna put it?
That's it. Okay, all those in favor of Stephen's motion?
Aye.
All right, great. Okay, last one for Mac, 23 Burnell.
Gotta play 23, Matt, it's your lucky number.
Yeah.
Well, not yet.
Yeah, true.
He only
Is that
works
Michael
for Michael
Jordan
Jordan
Yeah, MJ.
or LeBron.
Yeah? LeBron 23?
Hey, Jess, are
LeBron?
you thinking about another pass?
Is he 23?
Liquor.
How tall is it?
4 feet.
4 feet, 48 inches.
Is this LeBron's or was it the last one? This is mine.
Neither. Sure, LeBron says much.
Okay, so board on this.
I love licorice, yeah. So,
Cole, Coombs, Camp, Oliver, Dutra,
Okay.
alternate Welch.
Oh, this was this, I can tell this was the night where we were doing the back and forth. Yeah. What you do?
thank you, Mr. Chair. So basically, the only comment was the height.
Yeah.
So we dropped it.
Oh,
By reducing the roof pitch.
Yeah. I like the steeper pitch, but I, want to respond to the board's concern.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay.
The design is very simple.
What is it, a
classic.
9?
It's a 10.
The gate on the other side of the garage.
These line up.
And then that way, whatever they do.
And again, just point out that it's pretty low.
Does that help?
Yeah, that's a problem. But see here it lines up.
Well, why doesn't it line up here?
Because this one is even lower. See how it drops down here?
We wanted a really low eave.
You did?
The main
Okay,
gable.
so can I just interject here for just a second? On west elevation, AKA the front, you have your reduced thing, and then the gable, right? With the deck and all that. And then to the left of that, you have 2 gable dormers, but the eave there doesn't align with the parting rail simply because your 2 eaves, the eave on the gable and the eave on the subordinate gable don't line up. They're one's about 8 inches lower than the other.
You could raise
See what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you think maybe raise the.
I think that
I'm totally fine
it
with
would be
that.
cleaner that way.
Yeah,
and
it
then-
gets closer to the meeting rail.
Well, it was never right in the first place. It was still always lining up with the bottom window.
Yeah, but I mean, so I certainly overlooked it, but I think that a way of remedying that is just having those 2 eaves aligned. But, so what does everybody else think about this?
What happens to this?
What's it gonna do to your roof pitch?
It actually wouldn't clear. It would still work.
Oh.
It wouldn't go higher than the main gable.
Magic?
No, I think we're probably about like 20 inches lower to begin with. So if we're going up 8, we're still like a good.
Oh, I see, I got you.
Chime in.
Those dormers look less orphaned than.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, these work.
They'll be very close to the meeting rail
And
too.
and these work because this all lines up. Jesse, you're on this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not, right?
No. What do you think there, sir?
So see how these
It's the old Rogers house.
are way down here?
Yes.
Raise suggesting lifting that, they're still not gonna line up.
Uh,
Better.
It'll be better. It'll get closer.
It'll almost line up with a meeting rail. I think it's a great
What is this,
suggestion.
is this, what kind of style is this? What is this called?
I agree with Ray's comment and think the rest is in good shape.
What would this look like if,
Nantucket's like a 21st century Nantucket.
what would this look like with cottage corners? Did you think about that, or is it just doesn't have enough
The owner,
shingle style to it?
she actually spent a lot of time really going through like fenestration locations, and the key was simplicity. She was really interesting vernacular describing things that she doesn't like.
That's usually what they do.
That sounds very polite.
She kept saying like, she's like, look,
That's very popular.
Yeah.
Describing
She kept
things
saying
you
like
don't like.
Cracker Barrel. She was hysterical. A lot of things that she didn't. She's anyways. So I would say that I would,
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
It's just
I thought you were
a thought.
alluding to more colorful terminology.
No, it was weird. You kept busting on it.
No, I was just trying to get a style, so I was thinking, what would the chimney be if it was going cottage corner? What would that chimney be? A little more, I don't know. So I'm just trying to
Can
figure
I
out.
say something about that chimney, by the way?
Bring it on.
The shoulders of that chimney are way higher than they need to be. They're almost to the point where you would think there'd be a second floor chimney, but there's not. You know what I'm saying? Other than that?
No, he's busy.
Sorry, I apologize. The shoulders on
Yeah,
the,
look on the north
Yeah, I
elevation
mean,
of the
They
chimney.
need to come down.
Yeah, they don't need to go any higher
It
than they would.
makes it
Sure,
look so
we can do that.
massive.
we could
They
totally
don't
do
have to
that.
go that high.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Just have it happen all below. Yep.
Yep, because it's only on
Behind
the first
there.
floor. Okay,
Oh.
so Jesse, Val,
The main thing for me is the west doing something with those dormers so that it doesn't look so kitty
the
wampus.
little gable dormers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you raise that eave, like you're suggesting, by 8 inches, I think they'd come very close to the range of meeting, lining up with the meeting rail.
I think if you do that, what will that do to the
Ridge?
little type 2 fence that goes across the deck there?
That wouldn't affect
That's
it
No,
at
not,
it's
all.
only
that's
right
not
here.
gonna move, it's just over
That's
there,
not-
okay,
Just a plate on that secondary mass.
okay.
It's almost just like raising the plate so it lines up with the meeting rail.
Can you do that
Yeah,
easily?
I think 8 inches would
Is
cut it.
that good?
Yeah. And fix the chimney,
Yes.
lower the chimney
Lower the
shoulder.
shoulders.
Abby?
I didn't even look at it.
Yeah, got it.
No,
What have you been doing?
I've been looking at the little bitty pictures.
Whoa, that's a little bitty.
I think that's, I like it. I'm trying to find something wrong with it. I can't.
We found a few things wrong.
Yeah. No, I think it's nice,
Okay.
Simple.
appropriate.
So it sounds like we got two things we wanna do here, Matt. One is raise the, depth on that lower portion.
Yep.
And two is, help me.
Oh,
What
the
is this
The
chimney.
chimney
What does it
shoulders.
not show there?
It does.
Okay,
That's
see
the
that line right there.
diagonal.
What was that elevation with the, on the west?
shoulders?
I'll make the
Yeah.
motion to approve with the eve line on the west, moving up
Yep,
so that the meeting rails of the gable dormers line up
yep,
better,
right.
and lowering the shoulders of the chimney, how much?
Until
So
they're
they
under
drop
the
behind the
first
roof.
floor roof, so,
Yeah,
Okay.
behind the roof.
So they're not visible.
yeah, that would be on the north elevation.
That's my
Yeah.
motion.
Okay, very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, and the trim color is
Aye.
White.
forest.
Okay.
Is there any other color?
Not out there, I guess.
Thank you all for your time.
Okay, Matt, have fun. See you around. Okay.
One week
Silva.
was your birthday, one's the anniversary, what's
know.
tonight?
Nothing.
Kid's birthday?
Spaghetti night, Prince Spaghetti night.
That's
Tomorrow night.
You should.
Shop.
You think of it, it's not a,
Wednesday?
get the book,
Prince
Prince
Spaghetti.
old
Prince Spaghetti Day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
I've seen it.
We've seen it.
They used to call that
Yeah.
Nicola, no,
Yeah, yeah.
that's the,
No, that's the cough drop.
it was,
Yeah.
who was the guy? Andoni,
Yeah,
what do they call that?
Anthony.
Anthony, yeah.
I lived on Andover Street. We would hear,
Oh, really? You grew up
Salem
in the
Street,
North
and we would
End?
hear that, yeah.
Really?
From the bakery down the corner.
No, that's-
And then the manhole covers would go off, because the methane would
Oh,
go off.
great.
I've heard
You
about
grew up in the North
that.
End?
No, I've lived up there for a while.
I didn't know that.
Sorry.
That's all right.
This was
Storytelling
fun.
hour here at the
Yeah.
HCC.
Yeah, it's like we learn about youth. What's your name?
Paul, Camp, Oliver, and Dutra.
Okay.
All right, I'm
All right.
taking a break.
Okay.
Had enough of Abby.
One of the main concerns at our last meeting was the windows on the front being a little more consistent across the whole elevation, which we eliminated one size, and it's the south elevation, and we tried to unify the windows a little bit. So there's the A's and the B's. We kept the A's on the center form, a little bit of hierarchy there to the two flanking forms. We can always make them all the same if you want, but I think that
Sorry.
difference.
Could you just repeat that
I know,
last
hold on,
statement?
Sorry.
because we don't have the old one in front of us.
All right, so what were you just saying about?
So we unified the windows across the front,
Yes.
made them a little bit more similar. We did keep the A's and the B's separate because I think the main form, there's a little bit of hierarchy there. It's nice to have a little bit of different sized windows. If you guys disagree, we can change that.
Is this the first one?
No, that
It's
might be the
better.
second one.
The September 7th.
Was that it?
For now, yeah.
Okay.
I think that was the last one.
No, that's this one.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So the B windows
This is
are
this
are
one.
short,
814.
Correct.
They're all the same, the dates.
but interestingly, I just measured them. I thought this was an optical illusion. The B windows are shorter, but they're also wider
Right.
than the A windows.
Okay.
I thought that they were gonna measure the same width and that the A windows would appear to be narrower because they were taller. But they're actually physically wider. So I measured the A windows, which are the taller ones,
Yep.
at 2.5 feet wide. And I measured the B windows, which are the shorter windows, at 2 feet 8 inches wide.
That could honestly be a drafting mistake, and I believe they're
'Cause-
meant to be the same width.
All right.
I
Well, that would, see, so that would sort of stand to reason, because I think that you have, first of all, and it's rare that I speak first, but I just wanted to sort of
Mhm.
get a clarification more than anything else, but here I am talking, so. Appreciate the fact that you have gotten more homogeneous with the windows, definitely. But like, I think at a minimum, you would want the B windows and the A windows to be the same width.
I agree.
If you are going to have one that's shorter than the other, not wider, you know what I mean?
I agree.
So-
I don't think that was
Okay.
intended.
Thanks for clarifying
Yeah.
that, but so, now, for the rest of you guys.
Yeah, I can take a stab at something.
Go, yeah.
Well, I'm beginning to see a style form here from the beginning, and seeing it evolve, and I'm really happy with it. I didn't know what to make of it at first, but now I have something in my head that's somehow saying Swiss Alps, but I don't know
That's
why.
because of all
The rickrack?
conifers.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's the size of the window, it's the shape of the,
Yeah.
you know, the long sort of slope that you have the, you know, the snow going on. So it's so much better. But I agree that at least the width of the A's should be the same as the B.
Totally fine.
And now, what happened to the little windows? You're saying that we're not gonna see those in
We're
the.
in the hardscape, we have vegetation growing, and that's gonna follow.
So we will not see those
Correct.
basement windows.
There's gonna be hedges in front of that wall, I believe, which we changed the texture of that wall as well.
Right, you don't, it's just, you know, you wouldn't wanna see them. So, those are my comments.
Okay, thank you. Jesse, you ready?
Yeah, I appreciate changes, good pickup on the B windows, I think those would look better narrowed up a little bit, and it's a nice design.
Thank you. Val,
I'm still trying to figure out what was the last one.
you want me to go to Diane?
Yeah.
No, not on it.
You're not on it? Oh, that's right, it's just the four of us.
John
Right.
was on it.
Yeah, John was on it, correct. Sorry, Val, it's down to you. I mean, I'm okay. Another
If
clarification.
you guys are okay, I'm okay,
So,
because I don't know what
I
was
think
the
this
last
question
one.
was asked before, and I'm pretty
We
sure I
need to
know
have
what your
the previous
response
one
was.
from now on.
The balusters on the front look like
It's a
they're
line.
turned, but they're just square balusters.
Square balusters, there's probably a chamfer on them, just,
Oh, fine.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Not
No,
turned.
no,
balusters.
correct.
Are these the green, are these Anderson?
Did you guys?
What were the
Marvin?
windows that were
I
they,
think they're Marvin, yeah.
you said you could do.
It should be on the cover, I think.
Are they the
Could
double
do
pane,
what?
aren't they the, double, you know,
Insulated?
Marvins, but they're not true divided lights, they're
Simulated.
simulated.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the trim is, and the sash is, what,
Natural to weather.
No,
Oh.
not the sash.
Oh, I'm sorry, the sash is white.
Yeah.
Right?
Quaker gray.
Yeah, I
Gray.
think it was-
Quaker gray,
Okay,
and
Quaker
the
All the
trim.
trim is natural.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nice.
All right. So I think we're ready for a motion on this one.
Motion to approve?
Now, I think we should put, just to be safe, just put in a stipulation that the,
A and B windows
and the B
are the
windows will be
same
the
width.
same width.
Absolutely.
I second that.
And that we won't see the basement windows from the street.
We're about to review the hardscape too, so we can consider.
Correct.
that.
Thank you.
All those in favor of Abby's motion?
Aye.
Is that Abby's motion?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
first
John,
one I made.
Thank you.
All those in favor of Abby's motion? Okay.
Good job.
Now, we're gonna review the hardscape.
Correct. So, just to jump in a little bit
Wait,
here.
who's gonna write on here?
I am.
Oh, okay.
The last meeting, the board suggested I know we had a brick walkway, a shell driveway,
Right.
cobblestone. So what we did was we kept the cobblestone apron, we changed the driveway from shell to 3/4 native stone to bring that together. Correct. Well, it's a 3/4 stone, it's not the smaller stone. The front garden wall, we changed to a rock wall as well to match, bring that all together. The rest of the garden walls in the back, we did leave concrete. Basically, you're not gonna, I don't think it's viewable, and it's just more efficient to have the concrete in the back.
Fine. Thank you.
And of course, plantings in front of the fieldstone wall in the front, and along, there's a hedge pretty much running around the perimeter of the property.
Okay.
Those trees along the, I believe that's the west side right there, are existing. There, you can see them in the site plan, I believe.
These
Yes.
big ones?
Yep,
And what did you say the thing was along the
that's a
front of the
hedge row.
house? Is it really that much more to do piece stone than 3/4?
I think
was
it's a matter of, I think it looks better consistently with the cobblestone apron. Pea stones, you know, they tend to get stuck in the tires and spread out a lot easier. I think the 3/4 stone is a better
I
solution.
think they're so elegant.
It's really pretty. I have it in my parking area at work, but then I have to constantly rake it out.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, it
we-
goes
I-
away because it gets stuck in your tires.
Yeah.
Oh.
It goes away.
Okay.
It disappears. It's invisible pea stone.
I got nothing.
Okay, so
Somebody's been paying attention.
we're okay with this one? Jesse?
Yeah, the stone type for the walls, have you called that out?
Yeah, what you suggested last time, which would be,
New England Fieldstone?
yes,
Is
correct.
that called out?
Terrific.
I believe it did we
It
not
says
label?
cobblestone in the front.
The apron.
No, the walls.
Really?
It says cobblestone walls.
No, cobblestone's similar to Fieldstone, but yeah.
Whichever you guys
Let's
prefer.
let's add that to the motion, okay?
To what?
That the walls will be,
New England
did you want New England
Fieldstone.
fieldstone?
Yeah,
I want whatever you guys want.
Oh, okay.
yeah, we want New England
Okay.
fieldstone. I
It'll
think
go
it'd be
really
nice.
well with the house.
Don't you
I like
think?
that.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
as long as it's
It
done
just
right.
goes nicely with the
Okay.
cobblestone.
Can I have a motion now?
Motion to approve with the front walls as New England Fieldstone.
Very good. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, you're all set.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
out of here, guys.
Okay,
Bye,
thanks.
Jesse.
Thanks, Ben.
I'm on yours? I don't know. No, I don't think so. Right? I'm not on anyone else's, am I?
Yeah, don't
Thanks,
you do this
Jesse.
last, Sylvia?
Oh, yeah.
Did you do the telegraph house in Wisconsin?
Oh,
No.
that's what you meant.
I thought you meant
who did it originally.
Steve Rocky.
Oh.
Yes,
Who?
Steve
Oh, you mean
Oh.
Steve Rocky, the one with the Titanic?
Yeah, say, come. I
Or
got
the
it.
one by the
All right,
casino?
thanks,
I
guys.
didn't see
Good
Sullivan.
night, Josh. Thanks.
At the top of the hill,
She said,
you know, Bunker Hill.
Oh, that one. No, I didn't do that.
You didn't?
I think
Even with the.
maybe.
I mean,
Thank
the
you.
other two.
By Maury Lane, right?
Yeah, I thought that's the one, the Titanic.
Yes.
That is not a good glass
And then the one
location,
next to
Valerie Oliver.
It's the,
It
you know,
didn't
where
have
they
anything
did
in it.
it's
No.
really tiny, and then
This
they did the
time.
big.
That's
things
Steve
that-
Rocky.
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah.
Steve,
Rocky.
yeah,
You know, SNL.
yeah.
there.
Wow.
Well, that's his name. SNM Builders.
It is, really?
That's what he puts on his
That's
application.
interesting.
That's very interesting.
That's so
We don't go
interesting.
there.
Well,
We don't
SMR.
go there.
We'll just let
Okay.
him do his own.
So Ethan, you didn't change anything.
I did at the bottom drawings.
Am I on this?
Top is the original, bottom is the proposed.
Hold on, folks.
McMurrow, Paul, Coombs,
Oh, good.
Camp, Oliver,
And now Welch
All right,
stepped up.
we're in trouble now.
Okay,
Wasn't talking a while, here it comes.
Enough of you, young lady. The hour is nigh.
Bewitching.
Okay, the lot's very narrow, so I know it's a long house, but I did go to the building department, pull the files of the surrounding houses, and there's several other
I brought
long
those in the
houses.
last time.
Not the photographs, I just went and measured the.
Oh,
what was
no,
on
I
it.
brought the measurements as well. on
Yeah,
each of the-
48 feet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I took 3 feet off the north side in length. In width, I took 6 feet, brought the house 6 feet in. I took the roof and I brought the roof about 5 feet down on the north side to create the added massing. The front porch, I removed the wraparound front roof of the porch, and I also shortened the porch about 6 feet. I also removed the roof above the mudroom door, and I also removed the sunroom
you removed the sunroom.
off the south, the right side. And on the top of the original and the bottom of the proposed.
This, okay,
That's my favorite part.
We can always add that back, but it made the house look longer. The idea is to make the house look short.
well,
In
the
length.
massing hasn't changed, you just turned it from an
61. It's
interior
still
space to an
61
exterior
feet.
space.
I brought it at length, I chopped off 3
No,
feet
no,
of it.
no,
so-
I'm speaking specifically about the sunroom.
Oh, that. I just removed the
Did you
sunroom.
bring those other pictures?
It's the same length,
It's the same porch.
yeah,
It's a covered
it's
porch.
just either enclosed or unenclosed.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Wall Street.
Now, would you said your piece, right? Okay.
Hold on.
Would you like to speak?
Sure.
The ones I wrote.
So David Buckley with Cohen, representing the neighbor to the north. I spoke with Ethan about some of our concerns, or really our only concern at this point is the height of the building. I think it's inappropriate for the neighborhood, and we're just concerned about how it stands in relation to the other buildings in the neighborhood, and would like to see it come down a couple of feet if at all possible.
Thank you.
I don't know.
You want to start?
Well, I just wanna clarify, this is the sunroom,
Yeah.
and it shows up again
This one?
here.
Right.
Okay.
So what Ethan, one of the gestures that he made, this is what we reviewed the last time.
Yeah.
Okay, these top pieces.
Yeah.
So it was there before, and then he went in favor of an open porch. I don't think
Right.
that was
It's just not
because
that
of,
thing, yeah.
well, it wasn't because of any criticism that you received from this porch.
No, it was just the illusion of
Yeah,
Because the fact is that it does not change the length of the building. It
No.
just makes it go from a sunroom to an
Yeah.
open porch, that's all.
so I guess I'll start. I'd like to keep that sun porch. I think it's a nice sort of evolution of a house to have a sun porch sort of taking up that. I agree with the neighbors. I think it's too high for the neighborhood. If you could bring it down a couple of feet in any way, I'd appreciate that, because I think, I think 30 feet, 10 inches, that, I understand the floodplain, but that is a tall
And the house right next door to it is tall too. It's a full 2-story Quaker style house on the north.
And that's true. What number is that one, Ethan?
13, I believe.
13, yeah. 7 to
13
13.
what, Walsh?
Yeah.
However, it's
And
tall, but it's not as wide.
Well, because the lot's thicker. Yeah, see. So that's the one right next door.
This is only 46 feet side to side. Yours is 60.
My house I reduced to 50.
One.
But I also,
No.
yeah, 51. If you're talking about a house
Without the sunroom.
without the sunroom.
Oh, well. Okay.
But we're talking
The
about the height.
architecture is still there.
Yeah.
And I talked with your clients too. She called me.
Carol?
She liked it.
It's very nice.
She likes it. So, but, you know, I know.
What are the colors?
It's going to be that Quaker gray with black windows and cedar roof block and cedar lattice in the natural brick columns.
Okay, so Abby, have you said your piece? Val?
I think it's, what you've changed is very successful. I appreciate it. I'm still a little worried that it's still kind of large, side to side.
Well, yeah, so if you take the whole bit. Keep going, Val, if you have any more.
I appreciate the changes. I'd still like to see it reduced a little bit more in girth.
That's front and back. Oh. Is that it?
Yeah.
Diane.
I feel the same way. I'd like to see it come down. With the flood thing, it is over 30 feet. I know that they have to deal with that flood thing, but I think that Val has a bunch of pictures, and I think we only found one building that went 60 feet or more. I think it was 62. Water Street has always been in my mind a street of sort of smaller houses than Hubbard Avenue, and bigger houses than some of the little East Lincoln and stuff like that. This is sort of on the side of Hubbard Avenue size houses. I think it's a well-designed house, and I don't have a problem with that. And
He always does a good job.
yeah, I would like to see perhaps if you've got enough room is to drop them down and make some additive massing. The only additive massing that I could see are the two little warts, which I do appreciate on either side. But I'm not sure what your land is behind there, whether it is wetlands.
It's another house.
It's a new house.
It's on the
Right
photograph.
there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Monk.
Yeah, and I talked to those neighbors. Yeah, she's head of the Brand Point Association.
So, I don't know, I would suppose that you've done this again and again trying to get it down, so I don't know if there's any answer.
Well, the other answer is dormers.
No. That's gonna change the composition. Well, I'll wait till my turn.
Are you all set?
Yeah, I'm not saying that I won't approve it. I think he's got some problems that are not easily answered.
Okay, Steve, now you're up.
Ethan, are you already, your rafter tail's on your top plate here?
6-7 foot, yeah.
But it's on the top plate of the wall, it's not on the platform of the deck?
No, it's on the top plate.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
no, you come down 10 inches and I drew it right at the plate, and then the bedrooms will have.
Yeah. So you got no latitude there. I was just trying to think of how you might shrink up the height.
And I didn't want to change the pitch, then it looks weird.
Yeah, it loses it.
Yeah.
I guess I could say, I think that the changes that you made, in particular on the west elevation, which I think are primarily that, and then the effect that they have on the north, are very successful in terms of creating kind of a story and the massing, and it's the secondary mass that is in the original west elevation has become a secondary and a tertiary, and I think that that's successful. I agree with the height. I think you should go, I don't think you've got anything to work with in terms of decreasing the roof pitch without making it look odd. I don't know if
It's dormers.
Yeah, I mean,
I think there's one other idea.
yeah, my only concern when you brought up dormers was that you're going to change, this is gonna be a complete redo, which,
Yeah.
I mean, that's up to you,
Yeah,
but
no, it's,
it
yeah.
changes the composition of the design completely.
It changes from the Quaker house with the added pieces to another
Yeah.
total style of house.
Which I don't know, I'm not suggesting you do that. I do think, however, one of the things you can do is get rid of that skirt on the roof block and put some corner brackets in it and open that up. It's like a whole nother mass up there.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, that is really more of a gesture, but I think that it does have an effect. And on the design, of other elements of the design itself, I have no concerns. I do like the idea of adding a sunroom. I agree with.
Put it back. Yeah.
Putting it back.
Yes, camp.
Where is it?
On the right,
He got rid of
west,
it.
west.
Oh, this right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only in half the porch. It's in the back.
You know, to be fair, what would it be if it wasn't up with this elevation?
Oh.
The height.
Yeah.
The height would be,
20, it says 26.
That's
Yeah,
from the
that's-
floor.
no,
Oh,
it would be 28 and a half feet high. 28.
Yeah.
It's an 8-foot first floor ceiling, 1-foot floor system.
I mean,
7-foot.
that's the only place you have is if you sneak that down to 7.6 or
Yeah.
something. Your second floor is
Can
already
you measure
7
to
feet.
see that my daughter wants to see if it is what it is?
Yeah, it's,
I'm gonna suggest something.
go ahead, sorry.
You can gain like 8 inches by doing, see how you have from the top of your window,
Mm-hmm.
you have a head casing.
Yeah.
Then you have a freeze board.
Yeah.
And then you have your eave.
Yeah.
If you hang if the head casing becomes the freeze, so that in your room, are you planning on flat ceilings?
The second floor is just going to go cathedral, so we can
that would-
do
So then it
all
doesn't
that.
matter.
No.
So basically, if you take and have your head casing become the freeze board, then you've just gained 6 to 8 inches.
Definitely.
You know, and without any adverse, I mean, really zero adverse effect to the interior.
And what's the first?
And if you took 3 inches out of the first floor, it's
Take-
8 now, brought it to 7.9
I'll
or
bring it to
7.6.
7.6,
You know,
7.7.
You're touching a foot in reduction of the.
All right, I'll do that.
And you're under the 30 foot even with the FEMA,
Yeah.
which I think goes
Okay,
a
so
long
I
way.
don't think you have to
With the
do anything
chemo.
as draconian.
With the
The
chemo?
FEMA.
With the
Oh,
FEMA.
FEMA.
So I think that there's still a possibility of getting this thing lower, reasonably lower, without having to completely,
I can definitely take the 8, 9 inches out of it.
Yeah.
Doing that stuff.
okay. So let's see what we got, okay?
29.9.
Have we all said what we need to say?
That's why I always try to
Okay, so can I have a motion?
Are we gonna hold for revision?
Yeah, we
Yes.
should see what
Motion
we
to hold
got.
for
Okay,
some
Motion
height
to hold for
revisions.
revision.
thank you. All those in favor of Bobby's motion?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Oh.
Okay, Sophie.
I wanna try out for the frisbee
Is,
golf.
Ethan Griffin here?
I didn't see him.
No. Okay, this may be our last application. How about?
Is this
Good.
our last one tonight?
Maybe.
It may be.
Oh, God.
Then we have
Jinxies.
about an hour.
I'm gonna
or
hit
so
the
for
bars.
Yeah, hit the bars. I remember this as being
Pole, Coombs, Camp, Welch, that's it.
Oh, I'm not on.
Go warm
So-
up the bar stools.
But
But
hang on just for a second, because we have a couple of things that we want to talk about here afterwards, okay? All right, and maybe Ethan will show up, I don't know. But so Sophie, we really kind of narrowed this down, you
well, you
know?
guys,
We
this
widened
is
it
just-
out, actually.
I showed this to you guys because I was showing you the guest house in the
Right.
cabana and said if you guys like the shutter thing and
Right.
does it work, and I lowered it and made the roof block a little bit smaller and added the shutters and spread the stuff and blah, blah, blah. And you guys said that you thought it was good on Thursday, but I have to actually submit it.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, we didn't do it through staff.
Oh, I thought it was.
No.
Because it
Oh.
wasn't like a real deadline, it was just
Gotcha.
Okay, board. Wait.
We're on it.
Pole, Coombs, Camp, and Welch.
Okay, oh, that's right, and I said, sorry. Okay, Abby,
Still looks a little, the middle massing still looks a little tall to me.
how much did it
Oh,
come
wait.
down?
Sorry.
Yeah, you're looking at.
Wait a second.
Got it, 2810 to 29.1, so over a foot,
Muy buena.
15 inches.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I don't think it's
I'm sorry, 3 inches. 3
I think,
inches.
yeah, it was like,
Yeah,
You
okay.
widened it too, though, but had you already done that, or?
I didn't widen,
It's the
if I-
shutters,
it's
Yeah.
like I spread the
Yeah.
windows, did the shutter, made the
Optical
roof walk
illusion.
shorter to make the.
the shutters
main mass
fill
isn't
it out,
wide.
make it wider.
I guess it's an optical illusion.
But yeah.
Well,
How
whatever
come
you did, it was
everybody's coming
successful
in with
because it
these
makes it
kind of
look
shutters?
wider.
Like, what happened to the old fashioned kind?
Those are old fashioned, that's
No,
like
not-
as old fashioned as you can get.
No, but the kind that are just, like.
The little louvers?
No, they're just, I think they go like that and like,
Oh, paneled shutters?
yeah. I don't know.
You don't like those?
No.
Okay,
I like the more
Oh.
solid ones, but.
okay.
May I comment on that? I think, Sylvia, is this gonna be an eased edge, or is this just just showing the fact that they're separate? Are these gonna read like this, or is this gonna be a painted scene that you're not gonna really recognize on
Oh,
the
it's like three
shutters?
pieces of V-groove that they then strap.
So that it has
You'll
it,
see
yeah,
the
it has an eased
shadow.
edge, okay.
It's a look.
It
Well,
is
sort of with
the-
exposed rafter tails, like the panel
That's
shutters with
cottage.
exposed
Yeah.
rafter tails.
My old house on Pleasant and Lion had those kind of shutters on it.
What about the shutters?
Are they
They have
yellow?
A half moon
Yeah,
or an
Yeah.
outhouse,
yeah, mine had little roosters
Yeah,
cut
house.
out.
right?
Yeah.
Got a feeling the outhouse isn't
Those
gonna
were
fly
neat.
on this
That
one.
We're gonna have
roosters on
dogs.
them.
Don't you still have them?
Animal rescue.
Well, I don't
Yes.
have the house anymore.
Oh, they
They
all have.
wanted-
There is
took
a
the
house that
shutters
has
down
little
and made them all
roosters,
by hand.
and they're marvelous. I thought they were really neat.
That rooster,
Yeah,
if you like Italian red wine,
right.
that rooster cutout, it's called the Gallo Nero, and it's when you get a bottle of Italian Chianti, the little black rooster is on there.
That's what it is.
the seal of quality.
Very good.
That relates directly.
It does.
Look, she's going to have it on the front of the house.
Anyway,
I think just the only comment I have is that the roof walk would be an open skirt with the brackets.
Can
But-
I have it if I want the chase to get up?
Oh, to
I
hide the
mean-
scuttle?
Yeah, that's.
do you have any idea right now, Sophie, where that would be coming up?
It works best for the floor plan that it comes up in the front.
Front.
Well, the one upstairs going against the wall. But and I will remind you, is you cannot see this house from the road, nor will you be able to see the roof walk. Remember, it's on a private
Yeah, yeah.
road, so.
I've long contended that anything above the second
Uh-oh.
floor, you can see, I'm doing this for John, you can see from the
You,
street.
you blew it when you used the word contended.
However, the point, I think we talked about this now that I recall, is that you're not gonna see the house. So that, well, I believe it would be more appropriate to have an open skirt with this style. They're disconnected. When you see it from the street, all you're gonna see is a roof walk. You're not gonna see the style of the house.
Which is
Oh,
more
I think we had this
cottagey.
conversation.
It's just more cottagey.
At least I had it to myself, that it's not gonna make a difference when you're on the street.
Well, it's
Because-
a wood roof, right?
Right, you may see the roof walk, but you're not gonna see it relative to the style of the structure itself, because you're not gonna see the structure, so it's.
But isn't the roof walk
So I retract my comment.
very,
Go
well, I was
ahead.
going to ask Steve, that isn't the roof walk awfully close to the ridge of the roof? Is that not maybe what,
No, there's enough room for framing.
Yeah.
I know, it's not that there's enough room, but it's very small amount of room between the floor of the roof walk and the ridge of the,
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah, it's drawn it's almost like the other side of a heavy line, it's close but buildable.
yeah, it wasn't a buildable, but I think sometimes a little bigger gap. When you come up out of the house, up to the roof walk, what is the room, or what are the stairs like that you take up to the roof walk?
it's kind of like one, if you guys look on the floor plan, you can see, but the guys who own this, that was majorly that they want to be able to have this roof walk. There's like a whole room related to the roof walk getting up to it, and I will also say this house is pinned in between two houses that have this sort of style that had you guys allowed skirted roof walks on it.
Yeah, I'm retracting the comment because when you pointed out that you can't see the house from the street, my concern about the roof walk relates to it contextually with the house design.
Yeah.
However, you can't see the two of them together from the street, so my comment's retracted.
Okay. Let's see, so where
That's a
are we?
concern.
Oh, so Abby had a question about the color of the shutters.
Yeah, I think they,
White.
okay,
White.
white shutters.
And what are they going to look like, the shutters?
Well, Abby likes the panel, which I think are fine, but I also believe that there's room to do, and I have a bias, of course, because I lived in a house that had these, but there's batten shutters that are drawn, I think are very cottagey looking.
The batten ones are actually, I think they're more like, storm shutters, you know,
Yes.
they would do quickly.
That's the-
Yeah, well, yes.
So we're going to keep those shutters, the battens.
Well, let's see, we haven't heard from Val. The
I'm
shrink-
not on it.
I'm
Oh,
on.
that's right, I told you to hang around for, okay, so,
Did I hear a
I'm fine with
motion?
I'm fine with everything as submitted,
Oh,
but,
we're down to
I
that, are we?
mean, we kind of are.
Wait,
Okay.
I'm on it, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Stephen has made a motion to approve as submitted. Let's take that for a trial run. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, there you go. Thanks for waiting. Okay, so, Ethan is apparently not here.
Motion to hold for representation.
Great, all those in favor?
Start any way you want.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
okay, so we have a few things, so
It's like a blanket.
it looks like, okay. Do we want to approve the minutes first? That would be of September
Motion.
20th to 25th.
Motion to approve minutes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Steve, are you in on that one?
Terry, were those ones that I had commented on or no?
Well, I think we're about to take those up next. Did you read that?
I'm gonna abstain on 2025.
Okay, all right, so the motion has 4 in favor, 1 abstention. And now, so we want to amend,
That is the motion that you're making, written right there.
can somebody make that motion?
I
All
make
they
a
have to do
motion
is
to
read-
amend previously adopted minutes of August 14th, 2018, as follows. On page 6 through 8, delete Oliver as a voting member on the Steve Bokus 56 Farm Road and Andrew Corey 36 Pochik projects, and insert Dutra as voting for the Steve Bokus 56 Squam Road projects.
Thank you, Diane, for that
So
wonderful
thorough.
motion. All those in favor of Diane's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so, we have review, did you want to say something?
I'm just gonna say, I don't believe we received the September 27th and October 2nd meeting minutes.
Probably not yet.
Well, when it says review, we don't normally take action on it anyway.
No, I'm just pointing out we haven't received
Okay.
them, that's all,
All right, thank you.
for the next.
They've been sent out, you should.
Yeah, I'm
um,
just a reminder maybe to John, that's all.
I think the internet has been screwed up in the last week.
Oh, is it?
Could be.
My telephone wiped itself up.
Really?
Took
Oh,
all my recent telecalls, of which I have saved people's numbers, like yours and the rest of it, it just
oh, no kidding.
That's
deleted them all. Wow.
All right,
Luckily,
what's
I'm
the
going to
appeal
borrow.
of the garage?
What's the garage? We have appeal of garage moved at 19 Lincoln.
9.
I think I send,
9.
I send all that info out.
I think I've read something about it, but I'm not.
No.
I'm not on this, I've recused, but would I be correct in saying that they have a new garage application that you guys are going to review on Tuesday
Yes.
that would supersede this anyway, so is that appeal moving forward?
I it's still moving forward as far as I know. I haven't heard
Okay,
it
which
being
seemed to
withdrawn,
be sort of
but,
ridiculous to.
Did you email us that information?
I thought I did, yeah. I'll
Well, I'll
email
see.
it, I'll
I think
email
you
it
did.
again.
So the question I have is, how are we gonna handle it? Because this was a consent,
Yep,
so,
I believe,
and you're recused.
and I believe Diane was not here.
I was
That's
here
right.
I voted on the last things. This is, who's what's his house, the corner of
Old
Cobblestone
Formerly
Hill and
Hillfingers.
Lincoln, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on that.
I don't
For
know.
the
who's on
pool, I
that.
don't know if you voted on the
I
garage.
don't know the railings.
Move.
Was the garage maybe,
I think it was
It
Z,
was on a consent, I think, maybe ZBA.
yeah,
When was ZBA, August 28th?
yeah. I don't remember the date,
Abby
but
was chair.
I filled in because I made the motion, so
Okay.
somebody wasn't here. I don't know who it was. Who wasn't here.
maybe I wasn't here for the second hearing.
So they're
Or maybe you
appealing that?
recused because you,
I recused because I'm
right.
working with the neighbor, like literally right next door to the pool.
So maybe that's why I was on it, and Diane was here. I'm not sure who was here. We could look at the minutes.
I might have been at the meeting, so I was only at the first meeting
Right.
and whatever.
But you're reading in, right?
Yes.
Yes.
When is the appeal? Do you happen to know?
Darn it, I think November 14th?
I'm back by then.
Where you going?
You, world traveler, are questioning I am going to North Carolina,
No kidding, when?
Asheville, on the
Maybe
20th
21st,
of October.
14th or the
Fantastic.
21st.
And I will not be
21st.
here for the meeting, the
That's
town
the day
meeting,
before
unfortunately,
Thanksgiving.
because we had made plans before it was
But I think
done.
it is the 21st.
I'm glad we got that worked out.
Yeah.
I will
I'll
be
email it again.
back on the 8th.
I think I saw it was
So I miss the
uh,
old,
Cohen
new,
and Cohen.
and old, and I will be back for new.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did read it. You did email
Johnny
it.
coming back next week?
Well, we don't know,
So are you making a recommendation on how to handle that, since you're gonna be the one there, or is that just how we're gonna deal with it, or?
Can I,
Are
I'm
lazy?
gonna prognosticate a little bit here,
Oh my
and maybe I'm
That's
going
legal?
too far out on a limb, but they are coming in with another application for the garage, so I can't imagine that they would pursue an appeal for a previous garage approval when they're about to have it reviewed again. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's the neighbors who are contesting it, and so
Yeah, who is?
the attorney, I mean, I'm not an attorney, but if I were an attorney, I would go in and I would make my case knowing that there's another one coming and I get two bites at the apple and I might be able to get one of them reversed, which is the one that was just done.
You were one of those sneaky lawyers.
Well, I'm just, you gotta look out for your clients, right? I mean, I don't know, I just don't, if we need to do something, I don't know that we do
Now that we know
anything.
so much, like, I think I remember voting on the garage, but not knowing there was gonna be a pool. So now that we know there's going to be a pool.
Keep in mind, the garage was on consent
Right.
agenda.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Was it on consent or did we vote on that?
it
'Cause
was
I
on
thought
a
I remember-
consent agenda and.
But we
you know,
voted to, that.
Voted through the consent
Yeah,
agenda, yes.
Who was, there was somebody from the public that was here.
Yeah,
One
the
of
neighbors.
The neighbor who didn't want the garage moved.
But not on,
No.
not on the consent,
No, the consent just
I
happened.
don't think.
It went right through, nobody noticed, and then it was only when the pool came up
Yeah.
at either the following meeting or during regular business of that same night, when the,
I think
that's
that was
what
it.
happened.
Yeah, they were here for
That's
that.
what happened.
So the thing I would like to suggest, I just want to be clear and on the record, because I did read the attorney's letter now that John, you reminded me of it, is that I think the case was trying to be made that we were whimsical and arbitrary and capricious by not reviewing the history of the structure, and we voted on it. However, the case I would make in brief is that, we have a procedure for consent. It was followed, and therefore,
Really?
we weren't making determinations based on whimsical basis. if you don't review something, you can't be capricious about something you didn't review outside of a normal set of process. So it's kind of, the argument kind of loses its legs in my mind, and so I just want to have mentioned it, because I don't know if we'll ever talk about it again before it goes to the selectmen.
Right.
To my mind, it can't be whimsical because it went through a process which is called the consent
It was
process.
voted on.
It can't be capricious because we didn't review it and have a capricious nature. We reviewed it under the consent procedure. So can't be whimsical, can't be capricious. Maybe you can argue arbitrary, but I don't believe that you can argue all three. And that
It might have
wasn't
been
the point.
capricious because we didn't go into the date of the garage. We didn't thoroughly think about that at the time.
Okay, so it's outside of the old historic district.
Nobody would care if this garage was moving if there was no pool.
Well, apparently none of us did, so we put it on.
Nobody did.
Voted.
It's a means to stop the pool.
And
Yeah.
I would say it was brought up earlier at a meeting in regard to demos and houses tracking along with that. So you could have a demo of a house and a house proposal right behind it, which I understand the commission wanting to review that. Let's say it gets to the point where they get the approval for the demolition, they get approval for the house. The folks have the money to demolish the building, they demolish the building.
And they don't build the house.
And then they don't build the house because whatever.
That was,
Whimsical, the stock market crashes
yeah.
and all of a sudden the money's gone and we
Right.
don't have the money to build a house. Well,
Change
there's
in
nothing that
owners.
you can force somebody to build a house even though they have the approval from the agency.
Well,
That was, what's his name?
Or,
Yeah.
this particular situation, an applicant, the property owner could have come in to move that garage up towards the road, which is consistent with all the other garages along
Right.
Winton Circle. That may have been approved, and a year from now, we could be looking at a proposal for a pool. So you never know what's gonna.
Exactly.
I mean,
I wonder
obviously,
what the
there's
date of that garage is.
1956.
And it was
You
built
know
there?
that?
Yes.
When was the house built then?
1917, we know
Yeah,
that
that's
for a
what I
fact.
thought. I wonder if there was another form of where you kept the carriages and stuff like that. Was there a carriage house or anything there?
I'll have to look more on the aerials. That's
Yeah.
all I remember seeing is.
I don't remember, but it makes sense that a house that big and fancy would have had some place to have
The
Right.
horses?
the carriages or the horses
Didn't
or
they have a Model T?
Right.
something. You couldn't go down the hill because it's too tumbly.
Yeah, and I would also point out that, consistent with previous consent, not in the OHD, but,
So, yeah, so,
moving, may I?
yes, I wanna follow up on what
May
you're saying
I
now.
the structure was not removed from the lot, it was moved on the lot.
Correct.
Which
That's
would
true.
typically be something that would lend itself to a consent process determination.
Yeah.
So I just want to be clear that that is
Yeah.
something we do pretty regularly without being arbitrary, capricious, or whimsical.
Would they love to use those three terms together
I know.
every time it
All
goes
right,
like the
so we have
Three
an
Musketeers.
applicant who has showed up.
Yeah,
Can we
Ethan,
get
Ethan
Yeah.
showed.
Yeah, bring it on.
You need to.
We need to reopen.
Yeah.
motion to reopen the
Yeah.
agenda?
I just want to say about the
Sorry.
ROH. No, because shouldn't we, even though it's not in the ROH, shouldn't we give it the same credence or the same attention that we would an antique house? Because it's 1917. Even though we just haven't, the HDC just hasn't.
It's not the house, it's the garage.
It's the whole thing. It's the whole site.
I think the argument could be made, and it's part of the discussion that we'll have, well, whomever's sitting on the garage application will have. When it comes, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I think it's, to me, it seems like a good discussion to have. Because I think there's points and counterpoints,
Yes.
but,
When can we find out about incorporating all the outside lace of the old historic
Well,
district and make
It
it
just
one
blows
big
my
thing.
mind that this isn't in the old historic district
Right.
and 106 Orange Street is. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's,
is interesting.
So
Yeah,
we've
well,
talked
I'm
about
gonna
that
make a
OFC is
petition.
expanding.
I can have a
the-
march.
Wow.
I thought we had talked about that. I thought
Yeah,
that
we
was
have-
one of the things.
Oh my
we were
God,
gonna
I
This is
just
really
wanna
cute.
get out
Well,
of
we're
here.
gonna make a
Okay,
recommendation.
guys,
The
guys.
reality is, the whole island's a historic district, so
yes.
it's not.
Okay,
Whether
so let's rein it in, because there was a
Like a
motion to
rule.
reopen Ethan's thing, which is, item 29,
Like, well,
49 Cliff Road,
This one
which
finishes
is the
the
garage
This is
application.
adorable.
And then,
We
so, now let me read, I think there were a few letters that I read last time, which I certainly will not read again, but this is a new one from Wendy Stone, former client of mine. I'm writing with regard to the proposed garage at 49 Cliff Road. While I have not received a notification about the proposed building, my house is at 53 Cliff Road with its parking area off Cabot Lane, and the proposed garage would definitely impact my house in terms of the visual aspect of the road, as I am diagonally across from Rowan's parking area. I agree with the 6 points made by my neighbors on Cabot Lane in their letter of October 2nd, Rick and Jocelyn Urban, Jennifer and Phil Platek. I very much hope that the HCC will take note of these concerns before making any decision about this proposed two-story garage cottage, both in terms of its height and setback. Kind attention, Wendy Stone. Okay? Can you remind us of who the board members are on this, John?
Oh, Paul, Coombs, Camp, Oliver, and Welch.
us.
There you go, perfect. Okay, so, I don't believe that we requested any revisions of these.
No, we
Correct,
asked
we
for
haven't
some
commented.
stakes, right?
Yep.
I didn't see them today.
Yeah, they got up late. I will. You guys want some photos?
I went there
Pass
today.
those down.
This is
Yeah, I
the one
viewed
up at the corner. isn't it?
And did you see the stakes?
No, but I had a pretty good idea of what I was looking at.
Essentially, the front of this will be where the back of the current parking area is due to the setback requirements.
Where that privet is?
Correct. Yep. Not the privet's on the road.
No, I understand, the one at the back of the parking.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's only 19 feet.
It's 19.6. It's 16 by 22. It's only 9 foot from the slab to the floor above, and it's only like, I think it's a 4-foot knee wall. So it's not a huge structure by any stretch of imagination.
Well, you know, it's interesting because in riding around there, there are all kinds of garages right on the street, including a couple streets over this.
Oh, yeah, I know that one. Right.
Which
That-
is gargantuan.
Yeah, that's that
Two-
aqua blue trim house.
Two-story.
Newly painted.
It's nice.
I didn't approve that. That one. That she just showed
So,
a picture of.
You didn't see it? You want to see it?
No, I saw it. I said I didn't approve that.
Looks just like that. Looks just like that.
Well,
Yeah, it
so
and you got that across the street there. All right. Who wants to go first?
Can I ask a question, or I'll go first?
Sure.
I don't think that 19 feet is an extraordinarily tall building. I don't think that it will destroy the view from the second floor of the people's houses. I don't know what's up on the second floor of the other houses that are around, but if
And
you're
I will
upside
only
down.
add to that. It's like the view out of anybody's second floor window is not actually our purview anyway.
Right, and also, I don't think, we are not allowed to protect views
Correct.
as part of the H.
Private use, yeah.
Right,
Does this impinge on their?
we cannot. go
Honestly, we're
after a
trying to keep it
house.
low because we don't want the view from the house into the.
No, but I'm just saying, we haven't had a problem out in Wisconsin with a building that is exactly the same height as this, and the people next door, they must have been here at the meeting, because they used practically the same words to say that it was disturbing their view, but to see a I think to see a peak, and I certainly am very protective of Nantucket, the old historic district. I think to see a peak of a building is not a destroying view. It's part of what's up there. That end of Cabot Lane, those two houses that go to the right they didn't even have 15 years ago a street number. They were just there. That was my postal.
Yeah, right where it sort of turns
To the
left, there was that whole
They were
jumble
just sort
of.
of stuck down there.
Yeah.
And the building that was at the corner was a little old shed that the people who bought that thing on the right before it turned left, before it turned right, took it down. So it's been a changing corner, not just that. So that's all I got to say. I don't think the building is unattractive. I think at 19 feet with a little thing up on the second floor is fine.
Thank you, Diane. How about you, Val?
Having gone up there and seen what's in the area and where this is going, I no longer have the concern that I had. Is there any possibility of mitigating some of the, I mean, if you're gonna take the hedge away, it's going where this hedge is?
Correct. The whole parking area is proposed to be shift to the north, so where there's currently brick paving, that'll kind of get filled in. I mean, that's not even like a legit parking spot. You could barely fit a Jeep there between.
No,
the hedge
but
and
it's
the road.
also extraordinarily large.
Yeah, it's part of the proposal, and I think it might even say on the site plan, we want to just shift that whole paving.
But then is this gonna get closed in?
I
I think what's some of the problem might be that it's just gonna be this wide open expanse if there's
I think the proposal is to flip mirror the planting area. So what's kind of planting and hedge now is just going to go over to the south side.
So, Val,
you.
if you look at the site plan, you'll see the shaded area. That is the new parking area that is associated with the garage. And then if you look and see the light lines, you'll see the sort of stone walls and
Yep.
stuff and the steps and all
Which
that.
is
That's
these.
the old part. That's the current brick parking area that you see in the photographs.
Yeah.
So
I-
Ethan's basically saying is, you're gonna get rid of all that stuff
and put hedge there or
and
something.
put lawn, whatever.
I think it'll be more like hedge and tall plantings,
Okay.
similar to what they got.
But not hardscape.
Correct.
Yeah.
The idea isn't to hardscape that entire frontage, essentially.
No, with that, I'm fine with this. It's not extraordinarily tall at all.
Okay, thank you, Val. How about you, Steve?
I think it's not extraordinarily tall. I think it's an appropriate general design for a small garage. I do think, however, that given the garage next door is about 14.6, and this is so close to the road, I would personally prefer to see three types of mitigation. One would be a hardscape plan that indicates that that area is going to be enclosed, which I think would go a long way and
Yeah.
maybe even ameliorate some of the other concerns I have. The other would be that if there's ground cover, the other would be to slide it back another 5 feet from the street. And then the last would be, and actually I was gonna suggest that that you extend the garage 5 feet and you put a little hip roof on the front to pick up the design elements from the house, so that you have it stepping up from the street massing wise. But if you move it back 5 feet and that's hardscaped, is landscaped in, I don't think you need to, I wouldn't even suggest it. I would just say, push it back 5 feet, landscape that to enclose it so it's not this expanse of hardscaping and viewing this larger mass. Those would be my comments.
May I ask you a question? Is that road and the two houses that go down to the right, if you move that garage back, will it not come into their view more?
It actually does. Sliding it further back from the road would more affect the kind of light coming into the house at, I guess that's 5 Cabot.
Yeah, it's 5.
Right. So, or I'm sorry, it's 3 cabin. It would really kind of obscure more of their windows. Quite honestly, this garage is probably going to be as far back as the furthest garages on Cabot or Nantucket Ave or was that Grant Ave. They're all, for the most part, pretty close to the street. I'd say within, say, 15 feet maxed from the street. And
Some are only a Mini Cooper back.
Yeah, no, some are like right on it.
But they're also a little bit smaller. That was why I just pointed out is if it could go back, that
you're
would
right.
help to mitigate it.
Yeah.
I don't feel I'm one vote, and I don't feel terribly strongly about it, but I do think even the house structure has the mitigating elements of a covered porch with a hip roof, which brings the mass down. It's a low mass itself. It's a 2-story, but it's almost like 1 3/4 with the fascia just above the windows, and it can't be it's got to be like similar to what we did with the other Ethan earlier in terms of lowering that where the top plate ties in.
Oh, yeah.
It just the structure in the back is minimized, so that's why this to me seems like it's going to really jump out unless it had some type of hip on the 5-foot structure on the front with a hip roof with the garage doors in it. So you're taking the mass down.
Yeah, I'm not opposed. I'm trying to think like if it's gonna kind of muddy it up more than it needs to be because it's not a huge structure to begin with. But
or you
I'm
can
not opposed to try
just
something like that.
I think the hip roof might be difficult with the dormers because if you hip back, all of a sudden you're going to be whacking into the dormer.
Yeah, you would have to. The building would have to be 5 feet longer for that to work.
He's saying like it would go shed back.
I mean, what if we put something on like a projecting thing on brackets or something like a little just to kind of soften that elevation a little bit.
So this was what I was just suggesting. If you did something like that, it would be on the front elevation. It would be a longer structure, but the result would be that you would have something on the Cabot Lane side that stepped it down.
Okay.
Maybe just a pent roof type of a structure with brackets would help accomplish that without having to make it longer, but you'd still be in your setback.
Because I was going to say, part and parcel with what you're describing is that would require the building to move back by at least the depth of whatever that porch is.
And that would be a win-win in my book.
I mean, if it's a pent roof, it's probably not going to be a 5-foot overhang.
No.
You'd probably think more in the 2 to 30 inch, 24 to 30
What
inch
about
kind
if
of
we
range.
just changed the roof pitch to a steeper pitch and lowered the eaves?
There are a lot of the garages around there do look like 11 plus roof pitches,
and it appears smaller because it.
Can I say something?
Yes.
If
it's going to probably be a net.
That's not going to work because the windows would be really tall.
Like this one.
Sorry, Ethan.
Okay.
No,
Got it.
Steeper roof pitch is going to mean that the parting rail doesn't line up. Pent roof is going It sounded like you were just getting ready to nibble on that bait.
I'm not opposed. What I don't want to do is slide it 5 feet back on. From
what
where
if we
it is.
say 30 inches with a pent roof?
Yeah, 30 inches and a hardscape plan to show that closed off. That would close me down.
You have to I don't understand. Maybe
Because right
else.
now, when you look at this, if you think that hedge is going away, all you see is brick.
Right
so
here.
Where he's gonna move the garage north, where this loop-de-loop hedge is, we're saying bring the hedge back in where you're moving it from.
So he's talking about landscaping
to make
this
it
area.
seem like it's.
Yeah, I got that.
So I'm just saying, let's show the hardscape plan with that closed off, without it being.
When you say closed off.
Without it being brick apron parking area.
Closed off with a hedge?
Whatever, as long as, you're saying that this is gonna be, this area.
Correct.
Is not going to be parking area.
Hardscaping anymore, correct.
So all I'm saying is let's get a hardscape plan that shows that this area has been abbreviated.
Yep.
I mean.
Okay. So it sounds like
Does that make sense?
It sounds like we want a couple of things. If we can do the pent roof with that's going to, by default, set your building back a little bit, which I think would be great. The neighbors are gonna love you for that. And then the hardscaping plan that shows how you won't have that huge expanse of brick. Did I-
Do you think that it's the flush dormers that is causing the problem too, rather than these
I
other
don't like the-
buildings don't
I
have
agree
flush
with,
dormers?
with
They
Val.
have little,
Yeah, little things up in the,
like the one next door.
yeah,
It's set back from
the
the,
flush dormers.
Yeah, yeah.
It
I'd
just
like to
means
go up
those
and look
windows
at
are
it
gonna be
again.
tiny.
Yeah, I mean,
Now-
actually, honestly, it means that we'll have a big window on the front side, on the street side, so that we can comply with
Egress.
escape. Yeah. I mean, a lot of this was to kind of keep the
Well,
front.
look, this
you know,
one
kind of
has
small.
like a double thing with shutters over it.
Yeah.
You know, it's bigger than a chicklet.
Yeah.
So let's. I mean, and again, I don't have a problem with taking the sort of the A 6/6 window and sticking it on the front if that is gonna, you know, help the project go through. I'd say the one that we're gonna wind up with kind of pretty small windows if we set the dormers, if we have detached
Yeah,
dormers,
little 2 by
and
2s.
it's almost one of those things where we're almost we need to like even raise the knee plate to make all that work on the inside because you can't just set the dormer back. They're gonna look like these little like transoms.
my only concern with that
Yeah.
is that it's gonna,
What, you have an eve
it's gonna
overhang?
make that wall look big.
No, there's no overhang. We could, yeah. I mean, we could run essentially
Because,
shingle
you
course.
know, I mean, the whole intent of that setting the dormer back, it's onerous for people to do that, which I think is a mistake. And someday you and I will talk about that in context of the new guidelines.
Can we let-
Setting the dormer back would require you to drop the plate down so that you had a decent sized window there.
Yeah.
Why don't we let him come up with what
Yeah,
he
yeah.
might be able to?
Okay, I like that idea.
And if somebody wants to go up and look at it again, as to what he's got in mind and what's there, that would be good.
Dale, just on a scale of 1 to 10, how strongly do you feel about that with the dormers?
The flush.
It was merely a question because then it occurred to me that I didn't see any like that up there. It personally.
There you go.
I mean, with the exception
Well,
of the
but
ones
Abby-
to the
oh,
left
Abby
on,
agreed.
with the intersection of Grant and Cabot, the one it's a 2-bay garage that's got these ridiculous looking flush dormers. Grant, yeah, that's where
Oh, I have a
Grant
picture.
Ave and Cabot kind of tee into each other right
Yeah,
here.
on the
So this
outside. Oh, I
one is
got
a
a picture
2-bay
of it.
garage.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And actually, the one that's adjacent to it has a flush dormer, if you will, but it also is mitigated by a
Okay.
side mass.
And if you
Take your camera out.
and
Bring
if you
your camera
move
with
if you move the structure back 30 inches, that dormer is going to become less of a presence on the street.
Okay.
Working with the neighbors.
No.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to.
No, not
We
sure.
gotta.
Oh.
Oh,
You gotta
motion
let
to
him-
hold
Motion
for
to hold for
revision.
revision.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.